Picayune. Hello, test, test, test. Hello. Hello, can you hear me now? Audio, audio. Check on the mic 1, 2. I'll turn the gain down ever so slightly. So let me just reiterate what we will be doing today. Today we're going to be reading Picayune Strand. We're going to be reading Picayune Strand by Ryan Sullivan. All right, I think that's as good as it's gonna get. Maybe if I get some people in here watching, they can give me some pointers. Maybe there's some other settings that I have incorrect, but we won't know. So anyways, Picayune Strand was the Creepcast submissions month of May winner. I believe it was also a story on no sleep and stuff like that. So, as I said earlier, but the audio didn't get picked up, you can go support Ryan M. Sullivan. You can read his story on his website. You can order a physical copy of this book or story, which is kind of cool. I think it's only one story, but that's still pretty cool. You can go listen to his podcast, Good Morning Marco, which, if you live in that region of Florida, you live in the region near Naples, Florida, I believe. It's an interesting, just a local podcast about the goings on in that area. And I've only ever been to Disney World, so I didn't even know Naples, Florida existed. So thank you, Ryan, for educating me about the Marco Island community. And then afterwards, we're going to be watching some, maybe all, or maybe just some of Niles Avston's stand-up. This is his third stand-up special. He's one of my favorite stand-up comedians. I've seen him live. Saw him at a bar in Arvada. Live, he was amazing, despite the fact that the bar didn't really give a shit about him. Most of the people were just there to be at a bar, and they just did not do a good job. I credit Niles because he did a great job of just working through the set and still being really entertaining to the people who were there to watch him. But meanwhile, there were people having a birthday party and shit who just they weren't there to hear stand up, which you see this a lot with smaller venues where yes, they're a comedy club, but they're also a bar and all this other shit. And it can be kind of tough, especially when people are just like, well, we didn't come here to hear a stand-up comedy routine. But he did great. He was super entertaining, super funny. Me and my girlfriend both loved it. My fiance, I should say. We both had a great time, and he's a really great stand-up comedian that is working hard, and he's ever rising in the scene. He continues to do well. He continues to make like short films and stuff, but he's one of those stand-up comedians that, in my opinion, deserves so much more credit. So I just want to shout him out at the beginning, before I even get into the story or his stand-up special. And that's my plan for the stream as of right now. This is kind of just a for fun test stream because I've never streamed on YouTube before. So hopefully it goes well, and hopefully, you know, it's at least somewhat listenable, and you know, hopefully people, if nothing else, can use this as an entry point into Ryan Sullivan's work, as well as Niles Abston's work, because they're both cool. Well, Ryan, I think you're cool because you're a podcaster and you're a author, so you know you're cool for that. But I can't speak too highly of you yet because I haven't read the story, and I don't just want to be bullshitting. But I do appreciate you letting me read the story, so I love you for that. You're awesome for that. And yeah, I'm looking forward. I read the beginning few paragraphs and I already liked it. I was like, I want to read this on stream, so I stopped myself and I was like, let me just do this on stream. And so yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So without too much further ado, again, this is Picayune Strand, by Dad with No Kids, 2002, on Reddit or RyanMSullivan.com. Yeah, without too much further ado, all right. Energy drink break. Let's get it. Picayune Strand, OOC, which I think. Yeah, so this is just hey y'all, like a letter from him, from the author, promoting that there's a physical copy of the book. Hey y'all, if you prefer physical or ebook, you can find my link on my account to the Amazon listing and ebook. I absolutely love this story and would be so honored for the boys to read it. So obviously I'm not Creepcast, but hopefully, you know, the more people that read your story, ultimately the better, the more heat it's gonna get. So, you know, who knows, maybe one day it'll be read on a Creepcast episode and your life will change. I feel like that's what some people think. If they read one of your stories on Creepcast, your whole life would change, which could be true. I think more than that, it's just a huge platform where more people would find your work, which is the coolest part about it, is that, you know, it drives traffic and stuff to your website. So, Chapter 1, Light Work. Picayune Strand, Ryan Sullivan. Chapter 1, Light Work. I lived in Southwest Florida my whole life, halfway between wild and urban, opulent and shabby, mansions and crack dens, beachfront and deep swamps. You don't realize how rich people are until you drive through some of these subdivisions in Naples. Sorry, I'm distracted. I promise I won't get distracted all throughout. You don't realize how rich some people are until you drive through some of these subdivisions in Naples. All that money and useless unless you're a talented bartender. Doesn't quite trickle down, especially in September. In Florida, our only two seasons are hurricane and tourist. So this past month, when the market decided to take a shit, I decided it was time to find a second job. Isaiah Combs, 810 Live. An A-frame blackboard sign read outside the only barren bar on our bustled street. I lugged in my PA, eyes darting from the marble bar top. Eyes darting from the marble bar top, bleach white walls, and in stark contrast to the more fashionable nature of the rest of the bar, metal signs with messages printed reading, "If you ain't fallen over yet, you need another beer," and if it isn't the answer, if beer isn't the answer, you're asking the wrong question. Those seem like realistic bar signs. I can get behind those. That would be more at home in your boomer uncle's man cave that he fully furnished with Temu and Hobby Lobby. 4 or 5 years ago, someone cared about this place. Had an elegant vision of the locale with all the class of a 5-star hotel lobby bar. That was until the new owner or manager, what have you, said to themselves, This is not what a bar look like. Bar have pool table and dartboard." I was gonna say, it threw me off when it was like marble top, but then these bleached white walls and these tacky signs. So, but that makes sense. He's doing a good job with the setting here, painting a picture that like was supposed to be upscale, but then somebody just totally came in and trashed it, declassified it, like made it from a almost like degentrified it in terms of made it an episode of Shameless where they fuck everything up, or if something looks too nice, it's like you break out the windows and shit. But I like that. So I want to take a break from reading the story just real quick here and say that this is what I do when I read stories. I give my out loud thoughts, my out loud feedback. I do my best to just, read them through, but I also pause to give my in the moment reactions and theories and stuff about where I think the story's going. So hopefully any of you watching appreciate that, but it's one of the reasons why I want to be a live streamer that reads stories live, because I want to build the audience where we react together and we theorize about what we think is going to happen together. And if you're new to ever watching my stream, that's what you can expect out of really any story I read. I'm gonna pause. I'm gonna comment on, the writing, or if I think something is confusing, I'll point that out, or I'll say that, this description could have been stronger in this place. But I always try to be constructive with my reactions and criticism. I'm never just gonna like shit on a story outright. If I really don't like a story, I'll probably just move on. But I always read like a story through, and the other important thing too is that I've always been getting permission to read people's stories. So at first I was just reading a lot of like popular stuff from creepypasta.com, but I try to, with my more recent streams, highlight new stories, new work, stuff that's just coming out and popping out of the Creepcast community, because Creepcast has led to, I would say, a resurgence in the entire creepypasta community. I mean, people are posting stories on multiple subreddits constantly, and that's in large part just due to the popularity of the Creepcast podcast. And there's too much stuff for even with the teams that Isaiah and Hunter have, there's too much stuff on there for them to read, or even the communities to fully read and stuff. And so I think people in their communities, and it's one of the reasons I'm doing it, is because I'm a part of those Reddit communities too. I think people need to read other stories. They need to comment on other stories. They need to upvote stories they like, so that more stories can float to the top, and people and writers who are just starting out can get better also. But that way, so that if a story is really great and has 500 upvotes, then they might see it and actually read it on like a Creepcast fan submission episode or something, So that's my goal. I'm just trying to do my part. And I enjoy reading short stories. It's I'm not a great reader. I don't have a great attention span. I've never read a lot of big books or novels in my life. But I do like reading short stories. I feel like that is, for me, a good length. So I enjoyed on the stream. All right, so let's get back into the story. So basically, we have this person living in what they say Southwest Florida. Sounds like they're a bartender, or maybe they're gonna become a bartender, but this is their second job that they're getting. So, and it's at this kind of, like, fitting with the theme of the opulent and shabby. He's getting this job at this opulent / shabby bar. So that was until the new owner or manager, what have you, said to themselves, "This is not what bar look like. Bar have pool table and dartboard." My eyes met the bartender, and I saw the look in his eye before I saw him. He didn't want to be here as much as I did. He couldn't be much older than me, late 20s, black button down with a black tie. I wasn't sure if my polo was out of place yet. "Can I help you with something, man?" He had an accent to his voice I couldn't place, outside of being European. Okay, so let me take that again. Trying to think. Yeah, European isn't necessarily British, so I'm trying to think. Help you with something, man? Can I help you with something, man? He had an accent to his voice I couldn't place outside of being European. Yeah, I'm gonna do the what are their names from Family Guy, but it's like Barth and Gustel or something, but they're like, oh, I am so hung out this morning. I'm definitely gonna do that European accent where you just can't quite place it and they almost sound American, but not quite. Yeah, I'm Isaiah. I'm playing here tonight. Oh, okay, so maybe he's not a bartender, maybe he's a musician of some sort. Yeah, I'm Isaiah. I'm playing here tonight. Lisa didn't tell me where she wanted me to set up over the phone. Bartender gestured to the vacant floor space in front of the touch tune. I've never seen that word floor space front. I'm guessing that's like a big soundboard. Bartender gestured to the vacant floor space in front of the touch tune, next to an ornate vintage wine cabinet. Bent my knees and carried my speakers to their destination. I could see a line on the floor where the linoleum was faded, separated only by the black gunk from where a runner rug used to be duct taped down. And no one thought it would be a good idea to spray some Goo Gone before the tracks of months to years worth of patrons made it a permanent fixture of this hodgepodge. I finished setting up in record time, as there were no drunks giving me the I'm gonna shout Freebird as loud as I fucking can in about 10 to 15 minute stare. No drunks or anyone for that matter. Just me and the and I think it just me and the bartender, but it says just me and bartender, so I just think that's a typo. Just me and the bartender. He told me his name, but for the life of me, I couldn't piece together the noise he made in a way that made sense phonetically. I jammed there by myself for an hour. An old man shuffled in looking for a bathroom. My tip jar remained as dry as a flood-controlled swamp. The callous skin on my fingers flaked off with each successful chord change. The clock drudged forward, getting closer to 10 p.m. By this time, a regular was seated at the far end of the bar away from me. I rigged up my harp rack with a G harmonica to play Seminole Wind. I don't know that song. Harp rack. The word harp rack threw me off because I was thinking a stand to hold a harp, but in the music communities, especially like blues in the South, they call harmonicas harps or like mouth harps or mouth organs. And yeah, it's something musicians know. I've had harmonicas at times just to fuck around with for fun, and so that's where you kind of learn that, but it's something that if you're not in the know, you might be picturing Joanna Newsom like the Buckeye ride on, boom, 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 boom. Which would have been funny if he had this giant in this desolate, quiet bar with only one person in it. He's just like, I killed my dinner with karate, kick him in the face. taste the body. I would have loved that, and I would have been there for it and been like, fuck yeah. But in the sake of the story, or for the sake of the story, it probably makes more sense that it's just like he's playing a regular guitar and a regular harmonica. When I was a little kid, my dad used to take me on expeditions out in the Everglades. He had this story. He told me about the skunk ape. Ooh, are we getting a skunk ape monster? I love that. All right, I'm gonna read. When I was a little kid, my dad used to take me on expeditions out in the Everglades. He had this story he told me about the skunk ape. Basically South Florida's version of Bigfoot. I ate that shit up. We would pack a sack with bologna and cheese sandwiches. Oh, okay, sorry. We would pack a sack with bologna and cheese sandwiches, deep woods off with 40% DEET, flashlights, binoculars, fishing gear, and a whole 9 yards to go. Flashlights, binoculars, fishing gear, and the whole 9 yards to go spend the day cavorting out in the swamp, searching for signs of the elusive creature. Okay, so they're going skunk ape, aka Bigfoot hunting. I can't tell if that sentence is just a little clunky or if it's my shitty reading. I'm gonna assume it's me, but we would pack a sack with bologna and cheese sandwiches, deep woods off with 40% DEET, flashlights, binoculars, fishing gear, and the whole 9 yards to go. Okay. That's what threw me off is, and the whole 9 yards to go spend the day cavorting out in the swamp, searching for signs of the elusive creature. So, again, it was my shitty reading, but he's basically saying, like, we pack bologna, cheese sandwiches, bologna and cheese sandwiches, sunscreen, flashlights, binoculars, and the whole 9 yards, meaning, like, I don't know, it's one of those, I don't know if euphemism's the right word, but it's one of those sayings that just means the whole shebang and everything you would need for something like Bigfoot hunting. So, and the whole 9 yards to go spend the day cavorting out in the swamp, searching for signs of the elusive creature. The 2001 Saturn Vue hit Alligator Alley like Magellan on the high sea. So one thing I will say is, one of the reasons why I maybe have trouble with some of these sentences is you as a writer, Ryan, if you're watching this, I assume that maybe you'll watch it at some point. You do a very good job of packing a lot of detail and information into whatever sentence you're using, like whether it's a long sentence or small, you manage to, like most people would just say, we would pack a sack of sandwiches, whatever, sunscreen or bug spray, flashlights, binoculars, fishing gear, and the whole 9 yards. But what I like about your writing, but what makes it a little bit clunky for me to read out loud, or a little bit harder, is that instead you're like, deep woods off with 40% DEET, which I only know from that one scene in The Office where Dwight is talking with his friend about how, like, you think the CPA would allow that much DEET? I know it's like one of the pesticides or like toxins that kills the bugs. And so it's like, of course, Dwight would make his own sunscreen slash bug spray that has illegal amounts of DEET in it. But I like that. I like that your list of everything that they brought to go Bigfoot hunting was like, it has the brand. It's called Deep Woods Off. It's not just off, or it doesn't just say bug spray. It's Deep Woods Off 40% deep. And bologna and cheese sandwiches and the whole 9 yards. But you haven't done it too much either. Like, there are some times where people try to be so descriptive and specific that they just take so long to get anywhere. But what I like is that it's like, okay, and then you just go binoculars, fishing gear, and the whole 9 yards. So, and then the 2001 Saturn view hit Alligator Alley like Magellan on the high seat. Again, it paints a picture. I don't know what a Saturn view looks like, but there's a lot of readers out there who are that's instantly gonna give a picture of a car, and they're gonna go like, oh, okay, yeah, like this it's gonna paint a good picture. So I'm liking it so far. Let's see where it goes. Obviously, they're going into some sort of a skunk ape territory. Maybe that's where the story will end up, with a skunk ape monster. I kind of hope it does. Or maybe it won't get there, maybe they'll find a different monster. We'll see, but it's fun so far. Uncharted paved territory as waves of yellow, orange, and pink strobed between the trees in the early hours of daylight. The summer heat cascaded over our skin as we sat, getting eaten alive by mosquitoes under a cypress tree and enjoying our lunch that day. We never had any luck. I'm still hopeful there's stuff like that out there, though. I've always had a fascination with the strange, but I'm rational. I know there's likely no Bigfoot, skinwalkers, or most cryptids. Then again, if there are any out there, it's just a part of nature we haven't found yet. Nothing really supernatural about it. This is good character development, because I like that we're painting our narrator as a rational person who has an opinion. Whatever that opinion is, like, it can be totally irrational, totally not irrational, but I don't like when they go into the scary stories and I don't really know how I feel. I haven't thought about it. Or they're like, I've always wondered, but I guess I didn't really know. I guess that's not the worst outlook for your narrator to have in a creepypasta spooky story, but I tend to like it more when the characters have some sort of belief, whether they're a diehard skeptic, whether they're like a total believer, like ghost hunter type person, or whether they're like, clearly there must be a scientific explanation for everything sort of person, where they're like, ghosts are just the soul energy that we as humans haven't fully understood or discovered yet. There's a logical explanation for it. I like that type of person, because either, in these type of stories, we know that mind frame, whatever it is gonna be interrogated a bit. Like, I think that's one of the best parts about Left Right Game. Was in Left Right Game, you had open-minded, smart person in Bristol in the main character. You had the true believer slash adventurer, explorer in Rob, the Jeep driver. You had the diehard skeptic in Blue Jay, and then you had like these other more side characters, but all with their own beliefs. Like you had the funny, in Apollo, you had the holy shit, this is like serious, but I'm gonna be the comic relief and everything. You had the guy who dies early on who just didn't take anything seriously, and I like that. I love that element of that story is all the different characters. And so in this, we'll see, we really only have the main character, but we'll see. We're about to get some more characters, it looks like, so nothing really supernatural about it. That doesn't stop me from being cautious when going out on the trails, though. My phone rang. It was Harry. He was the one who got me this shit gig, but hey, at least I would walk home with $250. Harry had recently been promoted to Harry had recently been promoted to good friend after spending quite some time at the acquaintance zone. Okay. That's an interesting dynamic. He's a new good friend. He's not just someone you've known forever or, a friend that you don't really like, but a new good friend. He got promoted out of acquaintance and into good friend. Everyone has quirks and flaws, but sometimes Harry was a bit to stomach. Yo, big dog, Harry called from my phone. How's the hideout? Making stacks? Not particularly. There's one dude here, he hasn't taken an eye off his beer since he sat down like 10 minutes ago. I leaned against the wall, separating the out of orders men's room from ladies' room as my iPad ran the show. Man, that sucks, dude. I'm gonna be honest. I do not like Liza. Bitch vibes. Yeah, I don't know, dude. I remembered the old guy from earlier and wondered if he used the woman's restroom. Oh, bro, before I forget. You're still looking for something steady, right? Harry was about to save my ass again. Dude, I'm always looking. What do you got? Okay, so my uncle's friend or something, right? He was chilling and told me he needed some extra help at some wildlife sanctuary or nature trail type shit. What type of work? Bro, it's nothing. It's a big animal research center in the middle of fucking nowhere, and they just need a guy. A guy to do what? Men shit. Watch the place. Pick up heavy things. When they got him. Like security and stuff mostly. This place is just in the middle of the woods somewhere? Yeah, bro. Security on the place is easy money, dog. Oh god. Deep out in Fakahatachi. Fakahachi. I feel like that word, obviously it's Picayune is the other one, but I feel like the Fakahatachi is trying to get me to say something racist, but I just don't know what. Deep out in Fakahatachi or Picayune, I think there's no one for miles. You just gonna be on the radio like, there's a bear and nothing else. And that's a band. And that's a band, I think, meaning like money, like that, and that's a bunch of money. There's a bear and nothing else. And that's a band. That's kind of confusing. I wish it was just a different word there. Like, and that's, that's how you'll make the money, and that's all you need to do. The man on the other end of the bar began a coughing fit. The bartender didn't so much look up from his phone. I squinted through the dimly lit, bipolarly decorated room to see he was wearing AirPods. Harry, text me your uncle cousin's roommate's number, please. Type shit. I guess this is how millennials or Zoomers talk, because I feel like I'm going crazy. I don't get what that means. Harry, text me your uncle type shit, meaning like, okay, I'll do it, I guess. Type shit. Let me know if Liza gives you shit tonight. She stiffed me last week. Okay. She stiffed me last week. Alright, so we end chapter 1. Harry clearly is a character. Kind of a mover and shaker, helps out his friend, but as our narrator suggests, he's a lot to stomach. I wished we would have gotten our narrator's name in the course of that first chapter, but oh well. Unless I missed it. I think it is Isaiah Combs. I think that's what the sign was saying. It was trying to... It was just a little unclear that, like, he sees this sign and it's for his show, and that makes sense. Like, okay, it's like on a marquee or like a blackboard or something, which is cool. So I'm guessing our narrator's name is Isaiah, which is cool. I like that. And then also, what else was I gonna say? So yeah, it's done a good job of setting up our narrator and his friend Harry, and we're gonna get into this crazy job on this wildlife reserve in Fakahitachi or Picayune, which is cool. I like that setup. I like that he's not like he's a person with some outdoor experience. Don't get me wrong, he would go Bigfoot hunting with his dad, but I like that he's not like, I'm a wildlife researcher. You know, he's going into this as a relatively uninitiated person going into this setting, so that's cool. I have to pee because I chugged this energy drink before I streamed, so you guys are gonna watch the beginning of Niall's comedy stand-up comedy special before I get back. I'm gonna go pee. I will be right back.
Travis Kelce still got some pussy? No? I feel like it's real easy to give a rich woman the ick. You know what I mean? Taylor Swift is up $2 billion and 40 Grammys. That nigga dropped 2 passes the first half. No private jet for you, dog. I would have, like, if I'm Taylor, you not ruining the environment, me, my niggas. Walk home, you know? Because Taylor Swift really ruined his life when you think about it. Because think, before he dates Taylor Swift, he's just Travis Kelce, tight end for the Chiefs. He's really good, right? So if he drops 2 passes in the first half, it's just Travis Kelce dropped 2 passes in the first half. I'm in group chats with Chiefs fans. Now it's Taylor Swift's bitch dropped 2 passes in the first half. Taylor Swift's bitch is fucking up my parlay. That's what he is now, right? She ruined his life. Taylor Swift ruined Travis Kelce's life. He not black no more. Not good at football. And she showed us in a couple different ways that she don't love him, right? Example. We know she don't love Travis because she making him wear Harry Styles hair. What's up with that? It's fucked up, man. Let me stop talking about these rich white folks. I don't know, because I'm trying to be a good person, guys. I really am. I'm trying to be a good person. Because if I die in one of these plane crashes, I want people to talk about me nice, you know? It's possible. I travel a lot for work. It's a lot of plane crashes happening. Last plane I was on, I was watching a video of a plane crashing. I was just one of the lucky ones that day, right? I was really nervous flying here. But when I got on my flight, I saw Don Cheadle in first class. And I was like, Marvel not gonna let that nigga die. That's War Machine, dog. He got 6 more on his deal. He's straight. I was in 35D chilling like a motherfucker. We good. Hey.
And we are back. Sorry about that. Niall's always hilarious, but we're going to get back to the story, and I will talk about Niall's later once we watch some of the stand-up special. But chapter 2, again, another word I'm just not going to... Nathlorendum. Monday afternoon, I drove out to the Gore Research Center. This place was in the boonies. There's a funny thing about Florida. This place was in the boonies. There's a funny thing about Florida. It's similar to how the rest of the country is. Just shrunk down and set. Just shrunk down and set the dial from low to high. Most of the people are on the coast, and that's where all the money is. But you drive like 25 minutes and might as well be in Louisiana. I live about 10 minutes from one of the Bidens, and another 20 minutes from there, my dad found an upturned skiff housing bale of marijuana. Oh shit. I didn't know they came in bales. Word of the wise, never try to stab one of those thinking you might just take a little. Those things are super compact. They had prison crews cleaning up for a couple days. That's an interesting anecdote, but it's kind of confusing me. Have one of those things. So his dad or him found a bale of marijuana, tried to cut it open to take some of it, but because it was so super compact, it like exploded, I guess. I don't know. But then they're like, they had prison crews cleaning it up for days. If it was like smuggled drugs, like this story kind of implies, I don't think they would have prison crews cleaning it up. Maybe, but police, I don't know, doesn't matter. I was just a little bit confused by this anecdote, but interesting. I'd been driving to meet the woman in charge of the facility for about 30 minutes now. Sedan was not the vehicle for the job. It had rained about 4 days ago, which was uncommon that time of year. The relative dryness was in my favor. I turned right off Golden Gate Parkway to head deep into the Picayune Strand State Forest. On DeSoto, traffic slowly waned as the roads fell into disrepair. Homes that scattered the country road became less and less common, less and less kept. American flags turned to Trump flags. Trump flags turned to rebel flags. Rebel flags turned to trees. After a few miles passed, I came upon a road sign. End County Maintenance. Thud. The car lurched from the asphalt to the cruel limestone and dirt, throwing a cloud behind me as I vibrated down the landscape. A majority of the journey had become unpaved. I had never been out that way. There's an almost unending maze of lights. There's an almost unending maze of left and rights out there. RVs parked out in the middle of clearings, doing God knows what. Strange wooden encampment suspended between the trees. I passed a dead deer around 130th Ave. I pulled up to the gate about 2 hours before sunset. My battle-weary Hyundai, splattered with mud, dirt, and grime, idled waiting for the gate to open. I checked my messages with the contact I was given. Not delivered. I had 1 bar of LTE this far out, which honestly surprised me. I sent a new message informing her I was outside. In wait, I took stock of my surroundings. 3 signs on a post reading, "No trespassers, keep out." Nathlorendum Wildlife Sanctuary. And the third, "Be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time?" Ecclesiastes 7:17. It was only a few moments before the front gate roared into life. The house was something out of Swiss Family Robinson. Towering on all sides were live oaks, cypress, and ficus trees. The unkempt driveway led to a winding staircase encroached on by strangler fig. Jasmine vines climbed the banister of the front porch to the second floor, its wilted white flowers speckled on the duff. Spanish moss covered the trees and shrouded the home, drawing the eye to an observation deck on what looked to be the 3rd floor. It was as if nature was reclaiming what was once hers. She must have been in her early 60s, gray roots just creeping up from their tightly packed jet black hair. "Isaiah, so good to see you." Wait, she's early 60s, right? Yeah. "Isaiah, so good to see you," she called out from the front door. Her voice was much louder than you'd expect for the distance between us. I had to match that energy. "Deb, nice to finally meet you in person." Feeling some sort of need to take control of this altogether new setting I found myself in, I quickly closed the distance between her and I, scaling the derelict staircase with my hand outstretched. My enthusiasm, to me, fell outside the bounds of societal convention. The gentle breeze against my palm as I swung it ahead made it all too clear that clammy of sweat had formed. Come in, son. I'll let you get your bearings. Deb showed me inside an immaculately clean house. House is the wrong word. It was unlived in. No utilitarian furnishing, like TVs or kitchen appliances outside of a coffee maker seated on the welcome desk. Above the desk, there was a portrait of a smiling, white-haired, bearded old man with a golden retriever seated on the front step of the old staircase before the Strangler Fig made its debut. I don't know what that Strangler Fig. Deb tossed her jean jacket onto a coat rack by the front door and turned towards me, clasping her hands together and teetering from heel to toe. Well, welcome to the Education Center. This is, of course, Dr. Bob's former home. We do tours and craft days and the occasional field trip. Well, on occasion. It's a bit far and obscure and too much of a negative connotation for schools, you know. Anyway, that doesn't stop any of the great work we do. Deb's eyes lit up at this. So this is a conservation collier restoration site. Basically, we are working to return this area to its natural habitat. This is a cypress hardwood. Damn no, it's a hardwood cypress swamp forest. Hardwood cypress swamp forest. While being both in the Picayune strand, we are also smack dab in the middle of a big cypress critical area of state concern. Deb made her way to the rear of the house, passing photographs and newspapers strewn along the wall, captioned like it would be at a museum. We work to create awareness and, of course, have boots on the ground here. She spun to look at me. During the day, she spun back. We document tree growth, panther population, water quality, you name it. The further people are from these vital environments, the more they tend to do well, flourish. We crossed a corridor sealed by a red velvet rope to greening once golden stanchions. I peeked inside, seeing one of those wheeled step ladders you see in old libraries. I adjusted my gaze back toward her. Keep Florida wild, I chimed in. Exactly, yes. That's so good. I like that. I felt bad that I was just repeating some Instagram caption I had seen. We both stood there for a moment. I just smiled and nodded through the silence. Oh, she exclaimed, clapping her hands together once more. W9 and stuff, I'll drop by when I come to meet you in the morning. Let me show you a little bit around here now. She made an about face towards the front door. This was Robert's entertaining area. It was used only by him, though. Little to no visitors. Those who knew him described him as a bit of a curmudgeon. Eccentric, too. She led me to the front reception, and again, I saw posted above the door the word Florendium. I grabbed my phone from my pocket to Google it. Just as we were rounding the desk to climb up to a secondary story staircase, Deb interrupts. Most of what you need you can find in or under here, including a charger. She grabbed the lightning cable and handed it to me. Thanks. Absolutely. Now follow me up here and I'll show you some of the exhibits. As Deb grabbed the guardrail to the staircase, she knocked on it 3 times. We ascended and the age of the building began to show. The air got more still and I could smell the faint, nostalgic aroma of mildew. Musty air swirled in vapors as Deb reached for a brittle yellow light switch at the top of the stairs. Click. Nothing. This damn, she flicked it on and off 3 times, and the overhead fluorescence buzz spattered and awoke with a vigor of a Model T. A taxidermied bear, a few wild boar, a buck and a doe, a bald eagle, gopher, tortoises, and a few otters in a menagerie, I think that's how you say that, of nature frozen in death. The wall to the left had a nearly 6-foot long tarpon. I think tarp, but nearly 6-foot long tarpon. Deb pointed to the bald eagle. Don't worry, that's incredibly old. She must have misinterpreted. Bewildered look on the face. Oh, okay. Deb pointed at the bald eagle. Don't worry, that's incredibly old. You must have misinterpreted the bewildered look on my face for concern. Deb went on to explain some of the origins of the animals or fun facts or something while I took steps to mentally document my surroundings. Further on into the upstairs, there was a door, plain wooden door, a black painted profile of a wild hog. I made my approach. That's the pig room, Deb plainly stated in monotone. Instinctively, I almost blurted out, "Fuck," but I caught myself when I turned and faced this short, kind-eyed woman. Just so happened to be my new boss. Pardon? Pig room? Is that exactly what you think it is? Yes. Well, fucking thank you, Deb. I have not a clue in the world what the hell that means. You misread my expression again. She charged forward and opened the door. Frankly, it isn't anything I would have. Frankly, there isn't anything I would have called it outside the pig room. Speckled shadows crept through the doorway. Curtained window, obscured by the mess of jasmine outside. It's the only light source. Deb trotted to the center of the room and pulled a cord. Illuminated now was a man's life work. Glass cases and dioramas, jars and diagrams, sketches, notes, photographs, and all dedicated to the pigs. There was an old Patayuk wood bookcase brimmed with a dozen or more jars of fetal pigs suspended in formaldehyde. On the other shelf, there were books like The Merrick Veterinary Manual, 11th edition, bound in navy canvas with silver foil lettering. Another read, An Embryology of the Pig, 2nd edition, with a maroon cover, gold foil emboss. The other shelves were dotted body parts, trinkets, and journals, including a crate filled with 30 to 40 boar tusks. Tacked to the wall was a photocopy of a textbook that read Chapter 7, The Structure of Embryos from 9 to 12 millimeters in length. On the second page was a diagram of a curled and squashed mass. Little slits for eyes, its shape that of a manatee more than a pig. The center of the room was a stainless steel table, slanted off slightly towards the opposite wall into a drain. A small trowel lined the table. Inside were medical instruments like scalpels, a bone saw, and other things I didn't recognize. On the other end of the room was a meticulously constructed display, paper-thin slice of pig under glass. There were 6 in all, the same size but different areas of the body. White cartilage encased in meat around the thing's snout, and a cavity with a perfectly round white mass. Organs and bones were perfectly preserved in place and time, like some fourth-dimensional creature had trapped the hog there then and now. I ran my hand along the trowel of the operation table. Cool service had seen years of scratches and wearing. I turned my head and caught a glimpse of the cages. 8 separate cages, empty of tenants, but exuded an energy of melancholy. Old dusty stained hay and straw lie on the ground cell, which were only about 2.5 feet, 5 feet deep. The room had no distinct scent. Bob took his research very seriously. Yeah, no shit, Deb. I don't think they sell pig slices on Amazon. The advancements made in veterinary medicine by Bob are astounding, really. I took stock of the shelves, textbooks, and general macabre set. Well, I can say this is not exactly what I was expecting. Deb huffed and shrugged, knocking on the door 3 times as she exited and turned towards the next floor up. Okay, so before we continue the chapter, I want to say a few things. Lily Deb has some sort of OCD. Don't know if that matters. Might just be a unique character quirk, but she's tapping 3 times. It's interesting. It might mean something. Maybe she's superstitious and the tapping keeps a creature away, or does, it's some way to help her cope with being in this haunted or creepy place. Could be, who knows. Now, the writer, clearly that was well researched and well written. It was a bit cumbersome to read as a reader, getting through all the specific descriptions of all the animals and shit. I was just like, god damn. But very cool, and does a very good job painting a picture of this creepy pig dissection room where these pigs are like in cages, and then they're watching the other pigs get dissected. it almost makes me wonder if this story's going into some sort of nature, conservation angle, but like from the perspective that like a vegan or vegetarian would have, where they're like, all the advancements made in veterinary medicine or in medicine in general have been on the backs of slaughtered and enslaved animals. And like maybe it's gonna go that way with the horror, where it's gonna try to make you think about like the horrors that animals have been through, and maybe it's gonna do that in several other ways. I don't know, like maybe there will be a monster, shit like that, but it's kind of interesting, and I think it could kind of be going that way. I'd almost wonder if this person, if this writer is a like vegetarian or somebody who an animal sort of rights, not even activist, but just a person who cares about like animal rights, and that pigs are actually really smart, and maybe we shouldn't eat them and stuff like that. Now I say this as somebody that does eat meat and enjoys the fuck out of bacon and all that stuff. It's just very interesting. I'm wondering if it's going that way. And it is always funny because, like, yes, he's on a wildlife preserve or conservation like effort or area, but maybe the dude who started this place, maybe that's where some of the horror is going to come from, is that he was actually this dude who just liked to experiment and like murder pigs. So maybe there's going to be some sort of like the pigs killed him, or they ate him or something crazy like that. My mind's going off in a few different directions, and that's what's cool about what this story's setting up. Is I'm seeing a few ways I think it could go, but I'm also not 100% sure on any one of them. Could also be that this is all just set dressing or backdrop, and it could just be that there's some sort of a murderer out there, or Deb's a murderer, or Harry lured him out there to fucking murder him. It could just be something silly like that, where there's all this creepy other stuff, but then we just get a straight up, actually, motherfucker, you're in the middle of nowhere and now you're an easy victim. So yeah, we got a lot of cool stuff setting up, and now I'm happy that we got through that, because I'm ready for stuff to start happening in the story. We see the cool sets, we got the opening part of the bar, and now we're getting to where stuff's gonna start happening in the story, and that's good. As she exited and turned towards the next floor up. Once completing our tour, I followed my boss out to the driveway. I'll be back in the morning around 8 to get the report of the night. There's usually, as you'd likely expect, not too much activity. If you get bored, I have filing in Bob's downstairs study that has to be done. There's a crew debt. I feel like this writer's just trying to make me sound stupid now. There's a crew data platter, I don't know, in the break room fridge, I think. some sort of food. There's a food platter in the break room fridge, I think. Thank you, Deb. I really appreciate this opportunity. Absolutely, Isaiah. Don't let the isolation get to you now. With that, she twirled her keys, clicking the unlock thrice. Okay, right. Again, OCD. Clicking the unlock thrice. She climbed up into her dark green Jeep Wrangler. That's a shout out to Rob's Jeep Wrangler. She clambered up into her dark green Jeep Wrangler and kicked a cloud of dust behind her as she left. Strolled out after seeing her car grow smaller until turning off DeSoto back towards civilization. The machine's roar waning and waning till silence. Chapter 3, Plink. Took a right turn down 40th Avenue and spotted a sign not too far off. Dr. Robert H. Gore, Free Preserve. Hell yeah, I instinctively muttered. My sneakers made the satisfying gravel on sole. My sneakers made the satisfying gravel on sole crunch as I lightly jogged to the trailhead. Twilight had just begun to set in when I rounded the 2-mile loop sign. Forrest greeted me with an osprey's coo overhead. No other sounds but the gentle breeze swaying between leaves, hills, and palmetto branches. The occasional snap and crack sounds of the wilderness my brain was once so accustomed to. I started a hike on my Apple Watch. My legs needed a stretch after that tumultuous ride. My mind needed a stretch after that interview with Deb, if you could call it that. What did she mean by don't let the isolation get to you? Well, let me tell you this, Isaiah. Either the outside is haunted or the house is definitely haunted. And you're an alone person now in a horror story, so let me put it to you this way. You're fucked. And also, like, the fact that it set up this whole, like, skunk ape thing. I'm wondering if we're gonna get, like, a skunk ape creature, or maybe he thinks he sees that or whatever, but then he runs back to the house and that's where all the really fucked up shit happens. You know, I wonder if there's gonna be kind of a 1-2 horror punch where it you think it's gonna be this one thing but then it's this other thing, or it's both of those things simultaneously. So I think that's what she means by the isolation getting to you. I think she means some fucked up shit's probably gonna happen to you, Isaiah. Anyways. I realized after indeterminate, I had to sound it out. I realized after an indeterminate amount of time walking, I hadn't been paying close attention to my surroundings. A mossy oak entwined. There's so much nature shit in this, and clearly this writer is well versed in his nature shit, or you had a like insight, you know, you have like an encyclopedic knowledge of like trees, and maybe in Florida that's common. I don't know. All I know is like a lot of these trees and shit, I feel like they're supposed to paint a picture in my mind. The problem is that I'm too stupid to like know, like, that's a jasmine vine and that's a this and that. So to me, I'm just like a mossy oak entwined with a sable palm to my right. So a palm tree and an oak tree are like growing and entangled is what it's painting a picture. I just know that I'm not smart enough to paint like the right picture. So that's where it's not bumming me out, but it's more just like, I wish I was smarter, you know, but such is life. Palm to my right. To my left, numerous old Florida pines engrossed by vegetation. Some were full of life, others rotting and brimming with woodpecker burrows. To my front, a narrowing path of toppled palms. To my back, rapidly dwindling daylight. I had to pick up my pace. The more obscured view had made more treacherous terrain more treacherous. Okay. That, I don't know, maybe I'm being a dick, or maybe that to me, because some of this stuff I've had trouble reading, but that to me seemed like a genuinely clunky sentence. It's the more obscured view had made the more treacherous terrain more treacherous. The once smoothly mowed path was now dotted with rocks, branches, and root systems climbing into the overworld. Taller grass made little foot-sized holes vague and unclear. As I made my attempt to bound as quickly and safely as I could through the forest, every squeak, every bird call, every flutter of wings got louder. A branch caught my eye, breaking skin and spilling first blood. As the evening's light drew closer to the earth, it made the bird shadows above appear like thunderbirds in a Cat 5. I don't know what that means. Okay. Here, like thunderbirds and a Cat 5. Branches made to be the arms and claws of Mother Nature herself, snatching me back to dust. I reached into my pocket for my phone. I left it on the front desk. Have a flashlight. Well, Isaiah, let me put it to you this way. I know this is a horror story, and so, fine. And, clearly you gotta end up in a fucked up place. But this is your first night on the job. I have to say, there are some people that are like, I'm gonna try to do everything and really get after it and whatever, but this is your first night on the job being a security officer on a wildlife reserve. I would not just go walking out into the wilderness on my very first night there. I would, first of all, stay in the house that I'm supposed to be in, but I would learn my surroundings first. The first day I might walk around the outside of the house. Then the second night, maybe the outside of the property, and look at the other buildings and other shit around. Then on the third night, I think it would be okay to, if there's a specific trail or something you want to walk, maybe say, I'm gonna go try to do that. This is your first night though, and you're immediately like, oh, I went out to the third, whatever, Bob Newhart, whatever, nature preserve. And you just started running like you. Anyways, again, it's just a little bit of like a horror complaint where you're just like, again, person in horror story does stupid thing, but it's one of those where you're just like, is that how a person behaves on their first night of a job? I don't know if it is. Maybe it is. Maybe some people are like that. I am not like that. I'm a very much slow to get my bearings type of person, and especially when it comes to like wilderness and nature, I'm probably even a lot more slow to get my bearings. I'm not just gonna go walk a trail because it's like, trailhead, here, come walk me, you know? But it's a horror story, so that's not a valid criticism, but it's just something that I have to point out. I didn't have a flashlight. Stopped dead in my tracks. The pit that had formed in the back of my throat for breathing in the cold Florida air dropped down into my chest. Decision making hindered. Fear's vice grip on my throttle. I picked up the pace. I've hiked all night before, technically speaking, but that trail was 714 feet long. You can map it with your eyes closed. In all new territory, while technically on the clock, I've gotten myself much deeper than I had hoped. I'm not lost. The trail is just a loop. There's only one way in, same way out. So I thought. Again, you don't know. Again, it's like, there might be a sign that says trailhead, and you might think that it's a loop with an entrance and an exit, but also like, you don't know. It's your first night. You didn't ask Deb, hey, what's this trail lead? Is there parts where it splits off? Is it blah blah blah? Like, the trail is just a loop. There's only one way in and the same way out, or so I thought. I rounded the corner, and there was a dead end, surrounded by nothing but a thicket of vegetation and densely packed palmettos. I still wasn't lost. I could just turn around and go the same way I came. The orange-colored sky had fully desaturated and turned to an inky black. I bounded down the trail through the night with wanton disregard for the stones and roots that lay in my path. I had to get out of here as soon as possible. Palmetto branches brushed my shoulders. The deep sounds of my footfalls were only drowned out by my huffing and puffing. My left foot wedged it. Now you're gonna hurt yourself too. Great. My left foot wedged itself under a root. As soon as I realized what was happening, I had already hit the ground. The little panic breaths that had filled my lungs all rushed out in a single moment as my chest became well acquainted with the forest floor. My left hand scuffed against the dirt and leaves. My right palm grazed the surface of a moss-covered stone. If there was any air left in my lungs, I would have laughed at myself. That is until I realized the sound of footsteps continued after I fell. Dun dun dun! What is that? Is that footsteps? Call it delirium, call it adrenaline, but I could have sworn. As I was falling, I could hear footsteps continuing in my pace. My cheek lying on the ground and eyesight serving me no good, I became intensely aware of the sounds and smells in my immediate vicinity. I heard nothing. No birds, no rodents, no twig snapping, no rustling critters in the brush, just the gentle breeze wishing through the palmetto branches and leaves. Okay, this is just a personal opinion, but can you not just say like palm trees or palm leaves? Because to me, I'm hearing palmetto branches every time, and I'm thinking I've heard the word palmetto in reference to people like being like the Palm Hotel or whatever. I don't know. I guess I just need to read more because palm trees are very common in a lot of areas, but to never call them palm trees and always say palmetto branches and palmetto leaves, it just makes me feel like, you know, fucking Ryan Sullivan, all right, you're better than me. Okay, I'll say it. You know all about trees, you know all about twigs and branches, and you're just better than me. And I just need to get over it. Realize that I'm a dumb, ignorant fuck who, you know, doesn't know shit about jasmine vines and molasses twigs and alabaster dirt and all the shit that you know. Okay, I'm an idiot and you're smart and you're proving it to me. Okay, so thank you for educating me about the palmetto branches. That's all. I'm sorry. Not off topic. Just the gentle breeze whistling through the palmetto branches and leaves. If only for a second, the area reeked ammonia and urine. A subtle presence of rotting fruit and eggs filled the air. Through the aches and the pains, I all of a sudden had a feeling like I was being watched. Like all at once, a colony of eyes transfixed on my crumpled heap. Fear froze me there in time. If it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lie down. There aren't any brown bears in Florida as far as I know. So this is gonna have to be a fighting back scenario. Unless the rules change if you're already lying down. There's only one way out of here, and it's forward. There is something in here, it's behind me. So I've got that going. Blink. What the hell was that? I thought to myself. Blink. It was closer this time. It sounded like something had fallen about 3 or 4 feet from my head. Blink. I'm guessing, this is just an initial guess. Maybe this monster or whatever it is that's out there is like sentient and they think that this person is dead, and so they're trying to determine if Isaiah's dead or not, so they're throwing rocks or something at him to be like, are you alive? That's what I'm guessing. Blink was closer this time. It sounded like something had fallen about 3 or 4 feet from my head. Plink. Shit, I instinctively muttered, breaking the unspoken rule of silence the forest had set upon me. I could see it now, a rock. Tiny little rock must have just landed right in front of my face. Plink. I think something just lobbed a rock past my head. The pain in my body all at once became the lowest priority I had. I pushed against the limestone dirt, and jolting my body upright, I spun to look for what lay in wait just behind my back. Nothing. No way in hell I was about to wait for whatever it was to show itself. Heart and mind racing, At breakneck speed, my feet matched their tempo. I expertly dashed through the remaining trail. Rocks, holes, and branches were becoming more and more sparse. The back lip of my shoes ripped and tore at my Achilles tendon. My heart pounded and pounded until it felt like I was about to wiggle until it felt like it was about to wiggle its way through my ribs and fall out. My lungs heaved air rapidly, the speed exasperated by the tremendous effort engaged by both my legs and amygdala. I could hear more footsteps than mine. I was being pursued. Instinct took over. Adrenaline guided my path, and my conscious mind fell into complete blindness. I was no longer human. I was prey. Run. It's right there. Run. I emerged at the trailhead moments later, and it all flooded back. I peeked over my shoulder as I hit the road and ran back towards Nathlordenham. My pursuers had remained on the trail. I scaled the strangled staircase and slammed the door behind me. The silence of the space was absolutely deafening. I leaned against the door and followed it down to the floor. I lay there for a short time. My mind flickered and adjusted back to reality. Fear had gripped each muscle, fiber, and tendon in my body. Reason began to administer its soothing medicine of denial. The air was still and frigid. I started to recognize some things. Not made all too clear by Deb. There's no air conditioning in this house. How does the house in the middle of Florida not have central heating and air? I went to the downstairs restroom to survey the So the air is cold inside the house, but he's like, how is it cold? So, but he went downstairs. What? Oh. Okay, it made sense when he. So he's curious about how the house is cold in the Florida heat, which makes sense. And then he's like, I went downstairs to the restroom to survey the personal damage on himself. I was like, is he saying that the air conditioner's broken or something? What is he saying? I went to the downstairs restroom to survey the damage. My palms were red and sore, but altogether fine. I was covered in dirt and leaves, and there was a few deep scratches on my left cheek. The blood from my arm was slowly coagulating. I looked like hell, but otherwise all right. I started running the sink so I could clean the cuts. I shook the dirt off my clothes into the bathtub. I winced when I took off my left sneaker. I've never broken a toe before, but I know they're not supposed to be purple. I met my gaze in the mirror. What the hell was that? I folded up a sheet of toilet paper and dabbed cold water around the cuts that would distract from the dark circles in my eyes. I was tired, maybe even overtired. Yeah, bro, adrenaline will do that to you. Was there anything there at all? A voice rose from the back of my head. No, I know what I saw. What did you see? This is kind of interesting. He's having a conversation with himself, like in the mirror. All these like cuts and shit. I couldn't answer that part of myself. I didn't actually see anything, but I knew what I heard. What did you hear? Footsteps, the rock. I could rationally explain everything. Forest was dark, my adrenaline was pumping, and my mind could have been playing tricks on me. A coyote, or less arguably a panther, could be a logical explanation. Any explanation, though, required too much mental gymnastics to make sense. My brain was already stiff and rigid, and exercise was the last thing I needed. Would have gone out to my car to get my guitar to get my mind on something, but there's a better chance of finding the winning lottery ticket in a haystack while also being struck by lightning in a frozen over hell than me going back out there anytime soon. I plopped onto the couch in front of the massive limestone fireplace. I needed to rest my eyes for a moment. Every blink fell heavier and heavier. Day's troubles exchanged the weight held by my heart to the eyelids. I was out for 5 minutes. For the next hour, I explored the interior of my new job site. If the pig room was anything to go off of, there had to be more than meets the eye. Dr. Gore was an established author, and I found a few books in his study. Nothing on pigs aside from the swine's carnival of terrors placed directly over my head. Nothing seemed out of the ordinary. This tiny museum, a display of a man's life and passion, deep out in the sticks about 20 miles east of nowhere. What was the point of it all? Why keep it standing and open to visitors? These questions swirled in my psyche until one thought elbowed its way through the crowd and made itself a front row seat in my mind. Why am I here? Tonight's wages would be the tipping point for me to afford health insurance a month. Tomorrow's would pay for a week of meal kits. Not why I personally am here. Why would they have anyone here? Why am I protecting? What am I protecting? What am I protecting from? I'm just here to keep an eye on things, right? This revelation bothered me as I mounted up to the very crest of the stairs and entered the cupola. As I paced circles around the observation desk, another question had dispersed the crowd and made itself the only voice crying out in the wasteland of thought. Don't let the isolation get to you. Deb's final words to me were a harbinger of sorts. I limped up the stairs, purple-toed, an abrasion-littered face, because I let it get to me. I was going mad, paranoid. If I didn't have immediate personality switch, I would make it through the night. Blink. My blood ran cold. My temples pounded like a pair of timpani in a ritardendo as my peripheral vision tightened down to a single point, frozen in space and time. I waited for more noise. 5 agonizingly slow minutes passed. I was surrounded on all sides by glass, and on the other side of the glass, nothing but the Spanish moss and darkness. A steady overcast of cumulonimbus had drowned the stars in dim crescent moonlight. Wind howled through the trees in a mighty crescendo until plink. There was no way I imagined it because I saw it this time. I saw a pebble hit the window. I staggered back and became instantly aware of the fishbowl I had myself in. I decided the windowless room in the downstairs study would be safe, so I carefully climbed down the stairs. The soulless visage of a taxidermied bear shot me daggers. As I made it to the second floor, I avoided the animals not to get close. It had gotten even colder downstairs. Draft it sent goosebumps across my body. Rounding the welcome desk, I snatched my phone from the charger. It hadn't charged. In fact, it was down to 20%. The wind was getting louder as I put my hand on the golden stanchion. A yellow aged newspaper clipping on the desk caught my eye. Oh god. Yellow aged newspaper clipping caught my eye. On the desk caught my eye. December 19th, 2000. Homeowner shoots at alleged trespasser's vehicle. 1 teen dead. I heard a rattling noise from the back of the house. It sounded like a branch on hurricane shutters. I ignored this. Sound like a branch on the hurricane shutters. I ignored the study and crept towards the back of Nath Lorendom. Crept towards the back of Nath Lorendom. The window was open. As the wind swept through the house, I knew I wasn't alone. I was waiting for that little part of me that thought my pursuer in the forest was a hallucination to apologize. I heard a clattering noise upstairs, like something had just tripped on one of the taxidermy project. Eggs, fruit, ammonia, and urine. The scent had filled the air. Like a noxious perfume, it had found me. Chapter 4, Keep Florida Wild. Okay, so see how much we have left. Oh, hard. Okay. Not hardly any, but enough. So I want to say I like this story a lot so far. It's a fun, well-developed setting. Interesting in that it's still keeping me guessing. Now we've been given a piece to the puzzle that I'm guessing the doctor, I keep forgetting his name, but the doctor who opened this wildlife reserve now apparently killed a teenager because the car was trespassing or whatever. A car was driving on his property and he shot and killed the teenager. I'm assuming that's what happened. That is fun. That is again leading me to believe that maybe his spirit still haunts the house, or maybe he's became some creepy pig amalgamation creature. We also got the piece of the puzzle that he wrote a lot of books, but he never wrote about pigs. So why the fuck was he dissecting all these pigs? So again, a lot of interesting, fun questions popping up still. yeah, basically the despite the creepiness of him running back, um, and getting scared and lost, and then the Blinks coming, and now they've followed him back to the house and they're still throwing pebbles. All that I like, and it's all getting really good. I do think that there are some moments where um the descriptions, like when he's anxious and anxiety filled, I do think the descriptions are a little bit too flowery at some points, and maybe I would have a different experience if I wasn't reading this out loud. I would just be able to like kind of power through, and I would feel the tension. But I do think that in an effort to have vivid descriptions throughout, sometimes in these moments of tension in your story, you're actually better off just quickly stating what is happening, because it makes the reader, like, that much more into it and whatever. And some of these descriptions are not taking me out of it, but I would say making me get sidetracked with trying to understand exactly what specific descriptions and words are, when it would be much more like tantalizing and engaging if it was just said a little bit more plainly. And again, it's not that there's anything wrong with, that's the author's style, and that's fine, and it's fine to have that style throughout. But I also think that there is something to be said for like having a reader so engaged that they're just burning through the words, and they're like they're not getting sidetracked by anything. They're perfectly like, I need to read, I need to read, I need to see what happens. And I feel like that now. I want to know what happens, but I'm just saying that there's certain points when I think the narrative could be a little like snippier and a little less yeah, I don't know, like ostentatious, or a little less it's all good descriptions though, so it's like I don't mean this at all as a negative. It's not. Clearly this person's Ryan, you're a very talented, like, good writer, but there have been moments where I've been sidetracked or whatever, and I think it comes down to like pacing. I think that if you use more concise, easy to understand language in these moments of great tension, I think for the reader, their experience might be that much more like tension filled and horrifying. So it's just a note. You can totally, I might be wrong. There might be people who read this and were like, it was amazing from start to finish, don't change a single word. I'm not even necessarily changing a single word. I'm just saying something to think about, because there are some times where it seems like using a specific description or a specific like metaphor or whatever, it's like taking me a second to kind of understand it or understand what you're saying, and that extra second that it's taking is taking out of the tension of the. Again, it's just a note, take it or leave it. Yeah, all right, on to chapter 4. Keep Florida wild. I don't care much. I don't care how much I'm getting paid. I'm not staying here another minute, I muttered. As I pulled out of the driveway, I turned onto DeSoto to make the hour-long trek back to civilization and out of this godforsaken wood. I pulled out my phone and sent a message to Deb. Shit went down tonight. I don't know what the fuck is going on up here, but I want no part of it. Front gate closed and door if locked. Key under the mat. I think it's just trying to show here that he's texting this in a hurry, and it's supposed to say door is locked, key under the mat. If you knew what I was getting into, I'm very disappointed. Not delivered. I had no service at all now. While it was on my mind, I attempted to send a message to Harry. Hey bro, who the hell told you about this gig at the nature center? There's some crazy shit up here. The Hyundai's brights illuminated the street, a bright white tunnel through the towering pines. Mud, dust, and dirt kicked up and splattered against my frame. Even with no one on the road, I maintained 35 miles an hour. The scarlet beacon taillight illuminated a solitary figure dart. Scarlet beacon of my taillight illuminated a solitary figure dart across the street behind me. It was a child. Oh God, no. No, not a kid. At 2 a.m. on a backcountry road deep in an old Florida state forest, a 4-foot-tall child just ran behind my car, narrowly avoiding death. Normally, I would stop, but the woods couldn't pull one over me like that. It had gotten me out of here, but nothing was going to stop me. Something could slow me down. See, most Januaries in Florida get only one total day of rainfall. Well, apparently tonight was day 2. Sky's levee had overflowed and a free fall. The Sky's levee had overflowed and a free fall of rain engulfed my vehicle. The trees, and more importantly, the dirt road. Rough and rocky terrain began to mold and shift. My tires cut grooves into the earth as water began to break up the lawn. With full focus and attention on my surroundings, the corner of my vision caught something in the rear view. A child was chasing my car. Oh, fuck no. At an inhuman speed, the silhouette steadily sprinted through the slurry, kicking up behind my back tires. My fingers fumbled to switch my car into sport mode. I slammed my foot to the gas pedal and lurched forward. Anything not tied down had slipped and fell towards the back seat as I pumped the accelerator and gripped the steering wheel. The bumps in the road amplified. I had consecutive but sporadic airtime. The wipers spat. The wiper spit. I think it should be spat. The wiper spit rain and mud to either side, glanced in the rear view. Okay, it doesn't matter. The child was galloping on all fours, unbothered by the speed, by the mud, by the rain. The thing persisted, its appendages moving with such fervor. Its head pointed to the ground. It followed. It was gaining on me. I passed the skeletal remains of a deer on 130th Ave. I gripped the steering wheel as tightly as I could when I felt it start to get away from me. It was too late. I hydroplaned and spun out of control. I careened off the muddy road and narrowly missed a pine as I sailed off into a field. As I involuntarily did donuts in the clearing, my brakes had finally pushed my car to a complete stop. The pitter-patter drone of rainfall atop my car was the only thing I heard as my wrist vibrated, informing me I had just been in an accident. I couldn't find my phone anywhere in the car. Fire ran down my neck, following my spine and distributing itself through my body and out my digits. In my rattled state, I struggled to get my bearings, to focus on anything other than the contents of my stomach. I cut the engine. I'm gonna stay here a short while. I sat there and worked the tension out in my hands. Breathe in, breathe out. I leaned back my head, placing my crown squarely on the headrest, where my tasting liquid had begun to seep from my tongue, forming a small pool situated along the bottom row of my teeth. Blink, 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 blink. I jammed my thumb into the steering wheel as I sloppily and frantically reached for the ignition. Click, click, click. I pumped the stiff brake pedal and forced my key clockwise. Click, click, click. Again, click, click, click. Blink. That one landed in the direct center of my windshield. As I shot my eyes up, it darted out of my periphery. The rain had slowed to a drizzle. Now I could hear footsteps scampering about the car. Wham! It charged the passenger door, a deafening cacophony of thuds as it scaled my sunroof. The child leaped to the hood and stared directly at me. The fuck is that? The words jumbled and twisted out of my mouth. The child's grizzled brown fur was made slick by the rain and light of the moon. Its beady black eyes darted from me to the contents of my car and back at me, his little chest rising and falling as its cleft four-fingered hands explored my windshield. It pressed its snout against the glass. Gray and green plasma bubbling from its two gaping nostrils. Pig child! It's a pig child! Laid on my horn, furiously beating the steering wheel and beeping in rapid protest. It squealed, frightened and angered by the noise. It hopped and dug its tusk into my windshield before failing and launching itself back into the dark, scampering on all fours into the inky blackness of night. My windshield fractured, and I attempted to start my car again. My headlights flickered, revealing the feral thing just ahead. The engine sputtered, struggling to start. Guttural grunts and high-pitched whines filled the tree line. Every direction was engrossed by the war cry of wild hogs. Their squeals pierced my eardrums as a veritable tribe of bipedal swine emerged from the thicket. Of all sizes, some hairy, some nude, brown and black fur, tusks of varying length, soulless eyes peered at my solitary island of machinery. They stumbled ahead, snorting and squealing as they closed the distance. The hog people made their approach, and I flooded my engine. Come on, work, damn it. I violently shook the steering wheel and beat a fist on my dashboard. Please, for the love of God, I shouted as one of the pigs snarled and charged the driver's side door. The car lazily chugged to life, and my dash illuminated. I pumped the accelerator and failed to budge as the first two hogs made contact with my car. One of the feral things hit my car with such force it left a bloodied snout print on my window. It stammered back and reached its four-fingered hoof hand to the wound. It began to hungrily lap up its own blood. At this sight, another larger beast stopped inches from the injured hog's face. Its snout twitched, examining the damage. The pig dashed its mighty stopped inches from my which examining damage. The pig dashed its mighty tusk across the throat of the other and began biting at the hole. At this, the pigs swarmed the dying creature. They ferociously ripped their cleft appendages, gnashing their teeth and gnawing its swiny flesh. Blood soaked the faces of the feasters, squealing with delight as they dined upon one of their own. A dog pile of 15 or more 3 to 4 foot tall pig people were tearing the carcasses clean at my door. Still, my car wouldn't budge. The grisly scene before me made it clear that there was only one way out. I shot my hand to the glove box, gripping a clump of McDonald's napkins. Drawing them close to my face, I spat a small amount of blood that had pooled. Drawing them close to my face, I spat the small amount of blood that had pooled after my accident. I carefully cracked the window and stuffed the bloody napkins into the crevice. I quickly rolled the window up, suspending my blood there above the frenzy. One particularly famished pig that had been left on the outskirts of the feed, which kept through the crowd. Its snout twitched as it let out a deep and terrifying scream. One by one, the feral hogmen took notice of me. They turned their attention from the bones at their hooves and all pushed to sink their gnawing maws onto my own warm flesh, all their attention and focus now dedicated to pushing and rocking my car from the driver's side. The car teetered and I braced as I was cut free from the mud. Hyundai's engine roared as we charged from the field back to the main road. I sailed down the loam and gravel with the hogs in hot pursuit. They galloped on all fours through the mud and blood. I inched the window down. The blood-soaked napkins fluttered out of my vehicle and floated. The blood-soaked napkins fluttered out of my vehicle and floated back behind the hogs. The things all stopped and twirled, chasing the napkins. The pack of mutant pig people faded out of view, trading dim red flood for darkness. Final bump in the road was my sign. I was nearing civilization. I had returned to the county maintained road at breakneck speeds. I made record time getting back to Golden Gate Parkway. The black asphalt glistened on the freshly watered roadway. A few minutes later, I pulled into the Waffle House on exit 101. Ignoring the dent, scratches, the fractures, the mud, the blood, I grabbed my iPad from my guitar case. I scarfed down my eggs and sausage and began to write. The sun's coming up now, and the lady behind the counter has been giving me weird glances ever since I sat down. I don't know if anyone out there will believe what I saw at Picayune, out in the Picayune, but I know I have no reason to return to the blocks in the Golden State. Okay. But I know I have no reason to return to the blocks in the Golden Gate Estates anytime soon. Just as I'm about to pay, I swear I see a rock blink. It's the restaurant window. I swear I see a rock plink against the restaurant window. Thank you so much for reading. I'd love to hear what you think in the comments section. Thinking of making a second edition, further exploring some things or alternate perspective. Really appreciate you taking the time to read the story. Wow, what a ride. I should have taken notes. There are some times where I take notes during stories. Few things I want to say off the back. Great monster. Great fake monster with the skunk ape. Great real monster in the mutated pig children / people. Hog pig children / people. That off the bat, in a creature feature, one of the worst issues that you can, or problems that you have, is your monster's not that well thought out, or that you use the whole less. Some writers use the whole less is more thing in horror in order to not have to explain or to not have to imagine what a creature even is, and this story did. So I love it for that. These creepy 4-fingered cloven pig creature children, I love it. I think that is so fun. I think it's creepy. I think it worked. I love that they ate one of their own. I think that that's really cool. I think obviously, you can assume, we as the readers can infer that this is Dr. Gore's, like, he did some creepy experiments, and clearly there's more to the story, but it didn't spell it all out for us, and that is great. So that is the point where, like, less is more in the story, and that's where it worked. But one of the things and I've read a fair amount of these stories now, one of the things that people do, it was a weird monster and it galloped like a deer, but it was actually a person, and they don't actually explain really what it is. They just kind of try to make it seem creepy, but because it's dark and stuff, you don't really get to see what it is. This story didn't do that. Even though it was dark and stuff, it was like when you see the creature, you get to see the creature, and it explains what it is, and it explains them licking the blood and eating each other and all that. And I thought that was creative and great and really fun. And I would say even unique to me. You know, I've heard of pig people or pigs in general being used in horror, but I thought this was a pretty fun, unique way to go about it. And I like the fact that they throw the rocks at first, you know. I'm thinking that maybe that's just a way for them to like investigate their food. And because they are part human, it kind of makes sense that maybe they do have some intelligence where maybe they're used to eating like dead things or injured things. And so because of that, they kind of investigate like whether it's a person or an animal. They're kind of just checking to see if it's going to attack them before they eat it. That's all really cool. I loved that. The few minor kind of notes I have are, again, it's like um the sun was coming out now, and the lady behind the counter has been giving me weird glances ever since I sat down. I don't know if anyone out there will believe what I saw out in the picky, but I know I have no reason to return to the blocks in the Golden Gate Estates anytime soon. Just in my opinion, it it would be cleaner to just say I know I have no to return just to nature or to the wildlife reserve anytime soon. I realize it was in the Golden Gate Estates is maybe where this national park is, or it's off the Golden Gate Parkway, but I think I think that some of the specificness of some of the language in certain parts, although it maybe is fun if you know the area and live in Florida and understand all this stuff, I think it makes it a little less accessible for people who have never been to the area or whatever. And specific isn't bad, but I think the specificity at times it could be like over specific. Or there was this point to always mention the name of the street that they turn out that the house was actually on, that the weird Odnum or whatever name of the house, Lithanadinum or whatever was on. It was like the Matano Street, or I took a right onto blah blah blah. And although, again, I'm sure if you're from this area, or because if it is a real street, I'm sure it serves a purpose. But I think in doing that, you also make the story slightly less accessible. And like the whole time, you're describing it as like this gravel road with loam, and you're using all this really descriptive language to describe the roads drive. This is even driving in before the stories really fully got going. And I think when doing that, when you're like, I took a right on Masanto or whatever, or this the Golden State, this and that, I'm like, I'm just picturing County Road, and I'm trying to picture a Florida landscape, with palm trees, and it's like the bayou, or it's maybe not in the bayou, but it's wilderness. I'm picturing all that stuff. And when you keep using the specific street name, it's like it doesn't do anything for me as a reader. And then especially when Isaiah, our character, is fleeing from the house, it's like he took a ride on Monsanto, and then he passed the deer on 130th Avenue. It's like just just say, in order to say that like he's been driving for a minute, just be like, he zoomed out, or he hauled ass onto the county road. Few minutes later, he passed, or I passed, the deer carcass. And that, as a reader, gives us all we need to know. We don't need to know that it was the deer carcass on 130th Avenue. Like, the reader smart enough to remember that, okay, he passed one deer carcass on the way in. It was by this one street or whatever. He passed it on the way out. So he's made it some distance away from the house. And yeah, it just, when you use all these like specifically defined things, and I'm not saying he shouldn't describe the oak tree and this and that. What I'm more saying is like street names and all that stuff. For me, it got, yeah, just was a little too specific at times, or with some of the descriptions, it made it a little less, and a little less like, because when he's running away from these creatures, you want the tension to be building, and you want the readers to be able to relate to that. And so there's just not always a deafening cacophony of thuds, and that's not even an exact example of what I'm saying, but it's like a deafening cacophony of thuds as it scaled my sunroof. You know, just be like, the thunder of its hooves scraped the roof. There are some things that I think could be a little snippier and cleaner. Also, the one thing, so I understand he like used his own bloods to get pigs to like push the car, was kind of how he escaped. But I do think that part could have been, yeah, I don't know, maybe a little, I don't know, because it was like he pinched it in his windows, kind of what I was thinking. So I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, maybe if there was just something more of like, threw it out the window towards the back of my car, because I wanted them to get the back, and then when they got underneath the back of my car, I timed it just right to where um they got, one of their bodies got sucked underneath the wheel, and that is what gave the car the traction to get off. And then you could have this really cool scene where one of the pigs gets like exploded and dug into the ground and then ripped apart, and you see it all in the rear view as you're pulling out. That could have been, because I thought it was smart, and I liked how it used the pigs to push his car. But I guess I was like, well, he leaves it up in the window on his driver's side, but then like somehow them pushing on the driver's side of the car, like, I don't know, to me it just seemed a little clunky, to where I was like, I don't know if it fully makes sense. I understand what it was trying to do, but I just thought there could have been a little tweak, a little twist there, and it could have led to this really cool moment where you already had this cool moment where they cannibalize one of their own, where they rip them apart and eat one of their own. And so clearly the main character, Isaiah, was like using their savagery against them to be like, oh, well, if they're that attracted to blood, maybe I can use the blood to bait them into helping me get my car unstuck, you know? And so then when, and all that clearly works, and that's what he did, but I was like, maybe there's a way to have one last horrifying moment where you sneak out of the car and you cut your hand and you put a bunch of blood under the tires, and then when one of them goes underneath the tires, you accelerate the car and then it gets sucked underneath and it explodes. The hair of its back catches and the skin rips off and it sends blood flying everywhere. So then the pigs go wild and they all start like eating each other or whatever it may be. There could have been even another cool moment out of that. But again, it's just an idea. It's not my story. And I just was a little confused about like, well, if you're putting this in the driver's side, how does that then push the car out? Because the car goes, if this is a driver's side window here, a car accelerates that way. I guess maybe they could like push in the car. And there's a hill this way, it could kind of help. I don't know. It worked. I just thought there was a way to make it work better and have more horrifying stuff even happen. But again, I'm thinking of all this because it's a cool, great monster idea, and it's a cool, great, well-established story. And that's the only reason I'm coming up with all these ideas and thoughts anyways. And that's totally a testament to Ryan, your creativity, and just the fact that you wrote a kick-ass story. You know what I mean? Like that is that's 100% just how much I like the story and all that is because you're a great writer, and because that was a great just a great ending and a great kick-ass monster reveal moment that I'm like, yeah, even having all this stuff. So hats off to you, my friend. Thank you for letting me read the story. Yeah, I really don't have anything else. Oh, the other thing else I was gonna say is I don't know if you need I understand the bar part serves to set up the whole the bar is a sort of an amalgamation or a metaphor for Florida, this area of Florida as a whole, where you have the opulently rich with the shabby and poor. And I like the scene. I like this bar scene as an amalgamation is not the right word, but as an example for Florida as a whole. I like that. And I saw that parallel. I think my point being like, I don't know if you need it in this story, is that I think you could just easily put that scene anywhere, any story where you're writing about Florida, and it would probably work well. In this story, I think the story is a lot stronger if it just starts that the dude is starting a new job. You never need to explain why someone's gonna take a job that's gonna like pay them kind of well. because it's already like, yeah, people take shitty, horrible jobs all the time. So, of course, this person's going to go out to this nature reserve for this new job. So, I almost think the story would be stronger as a whole if you just started it from boom, he's out there and he's at the nature reserve. Same with the Harry part. Like, if the Harry part of the story went somewhere, or if this story was longer as a whole, and he did more investigating while he was out there, and like maybe if he was out at the nature reserve for more nights, then maybe that Harry friend character would come into it more. But there's really, because he's only out there for one night and stuff, it really isn't needed. And so I think that the story would flow a lot better and be a lot more impactful if it just started from, I went out to this nature reserve and, this lady Deb gave me a tour, but then weird shit started happening. And again, some people like a slow build, so I'm not even 100% saying that that's the case. That's just my personal opinion on the story really starts when he gets out to the nature reserve. So all that other stuff does, build some characters, and it lets us know more about Isaiah, and Isaiah's a musician and all this stuff. But at the same time, none of it really comes back around to go anywhere. So I think that you could, just with quick little like one sentence things about like, I've been trying to get gigs in town, but I can't play anything except for dive bars, or but even the dive bars won't pay me much, so I had to take this job out at the wildlife reserve, sort of thing. That is kind of all you need to say, and I feel like with just those one or two sentences you could convey the same sort of character, moments. You could convey the same sort of like, but these fucking dive bars don't pay worth a shit. And you could establish the same things you're trying to establish without needing like a whole chapter where just describing this dive bar and the drunk sitting at the bar and all those things. Now, if this was again in a longer story, it's like maybe there are more chapters, he goes back out to the wildlife reserve, more shit happens, then maybe there is reasons, maybe he meets up with Harry at the bar later, and then maybe we meet Liza, and Harry's just actually being kind of a dick, and Liza's actually, the bar owner is actually kind of a sweetheart and wants to help support local musicians, and whatever bullshit. Who knows? There can be a lot more to flesh out there, but as the story stands now and what it's trying to do, um yeah, I just don't think you need it, to be honest. But that's okay, because I really, again, it's a great kind of scene, and the way that you describe this is how Florida is as a whole, and then how the bar kind of is a metaphor for that. I like it. I think it's a good scene and a good contrast and stuff. And I just think you could use it in any story about Florida, or any story exploring those sort of themes. So it's definitely not, just because you don't need it in this story doesn't mean it's not a useful scene for a lot of other shit, or in a collection of these stories that take place in this area. You know, uh, it could be, it's really useful. It's a useful, good, artistic, artistically described scene. Yes, I will say. But again, hats off to you, Ryan Sullivan. Go to ryansullivan.com, check out more of his stuff. I'm gonna check out more of his stories in the future, and yeah, listen to Good Morning Marco Island podcast. I'm sure you have other cool stuff you're doing too, Ryan. Check out his stuff on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple. And yeah, in general, man, thank you so much for letting me read your story. I Yeah, I loved it. I thought it was kick ass monster. Um, and just kick ass description of like that moment when the kid's chasing him before he sees what the monster is, and all that was awesome. I loved when he finally sees that it's this creepy pig monster child, and then when they eat one of them, so cool, man, so cool, a lot of fun. So thank you so much. And again, just hats off to you, man. I look forward to reading more of your stuff. All right, so now switching gears. Um, Switching gears into this part. Basically, what I'm just gonna say is this before we get into Niles Habston's stand-up special is that Niles Habston is a great comedian who not have enough exposure. Now he lives in LA and does comedy in LA, and so it's like, don't get me wrong, he's not like unknown. He has some Comedy Central clips, he has Instagram clips. But when people in this day and age are like, comedians aren't funny this more, or they won't say this or that, or blah, 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 when people just bitch about comedy in general, I'm like, clearly you've never heard of like Niles, but your problem is that you're only ever watching comedy on like Netflix or in like 20-second clips on social media. And I would encourage anyone, if there's a comedian that you even think you might like, it's always cool to go like a clip or find a funny clip on TikTok or Instagram and like that. But once you like that clip, find one of their comedy specials. If they're a comedian who cares about, putting out material, they'll have something somewhere that you could find. And watch one of their extended clips or watch one of their stand-up specials, and you can find a comedian like Niles where he is highly like racial. He makes a lot of jokes about white people, black people, gay people. Like, he makes jokes about everyone, and they're always super insightful and funny, to the point to where people that are laughing are the people of that specific like sexual orientation or race or whatever it is. Those are the people laughing, and they're going like, "Oh my god, that's so true." And that's what I love about it. It's like, it's comedy that he does comedy that not only points out the differences and stuff in different cultures, but then also allows different people to see these similarities that cross sexual, racial, and like socioeconomic lines. And yeah, he's just, in my opinion, a really, really funny, insightful comedian. So we're gonna play some of his stand-up special. I'm gonna get something to drink because my voice hurts from doing all that reading.
I'll be real, bro. It's cool to know celebrities, man. This shit fun, bro. Like, I was talking to John Mulaney the other day. That's white excellence. I was talking to John Mulaney, dog. We was chopping it up backstage. It was crazy. Industry friend introduced us. He was like, yo, John, this is Niles. Niles, this is John. John Mulaney stops a mid-sentence, goes, oh, Niles Epstein? I seen your videos on Instagram, bro. You're hilarious. I was like, oh, shit. White excellence know me? But then I got home and I started second guessing myself. Cause y'all know. Crackheads be lying. And don't repeat that shit. We got your email. Don't repeat that. That rich white man cannot know I'm going around the country calling him a crackhead. The work will stop immediately. I already went through the writer's strike, bro. That shit was tough. I wrote for this TV show called Dave, right? And thank you. And right after the show comes out, writer's strike starts. So I had to work a regular nigga job, and I thought I was done with this shit, right? So I'm working at the dispensary. The TV show is literally on the screen by me at the cash register. And I got all these bitch-ass friends in LA that want to encourage me and shit. So they was like, oh, you know, Niles, this is just part of your journey. Shut the fuck up. I don't think y'all understand, bro. You know how embarrassing it is to work at a dispensary when you used to be a real drug dealer? Felt like I was repeating the 12th grade, nigga. I hated that shit. Like, I took this fucking class already. They're mad as shit. People asking dumbass questions. Hi, can I get a sativa-leaning hybrid? Not with that attitude, pussy, you can't. I worked at this shop in Hollywood on Melrose, bro. The worst people in the world come in there. They done seen one Seth Rogen movie, think they know everything. Come in there touching all the shit. I pulled one dude to the side. I was like, hey, bro, come talk to me real quick. He was like, what's up? I was like, hey, I need you to respect the product in this store. He was like, why? I was like, because people used to have to suck dick for this, dog. You gonna respect my people that was smoking out of Coke cans in 09, bitch, all right? It's a culture around here, man. Hated that shit. Dude came up to me. Hi, you guys got like a weed that can help me keep my dick hard? Excuse me? I knew he was ashamed because he asked lower the next time. And he's like, yeah, you know, you got like a weed that can like help me, you know, keep my dick hard. I was like, yeah, I got you. Hey, we got weed that can help this nigga keep his dick hard. Bitch ass nigga right here, green shirt. I hated working there. This is the biggest reason why I hated working there, and this is gonna divide the room. I don't care. I hated it because it was a black-owned business. It was bullshit. All the black people in here know having a black boss sucks. There's some real niggas in here. Some real niggas in here. Bro, having a black boss is fucking terrible. Can't pull the racism card, so I just gotta have a good attitude. This is bullshit, man. My black boss, beautiful black woman in her 40s, moisturized. I just felt like she knew my grandma, you know? So I was like, oh, fuck, I gotta do good, you know? I hated working there, because black-owned businesses, look, they exploit their employees just like anybody else. Just with a good playlist playing. That's the only difference. Because it's a bad economy, man. I feel smart when I say that. I ain't finished college. I gotta get the wins in where I can, you know? It's a bad economy, bro. A bad bitch delivered my Taco Bell the other day. I was like, you delivering Crunch Wraps? I almost gave her my OnlyFans referral code. I was like, you don't get a link in your bio? What are you doing out here? It's a bad economy, bro. I looked up what the problem is. It's these people called billionaires. Do y'all know about them? I just learned about these guys, bro. It's a bunch of white dudes and Oprah. It's crazy. Bunch of billionaires. And it's like, I was like, how do we stop them? You know, essentially, to fix the problem, we got to convince white dudes to not want money no more. So we dying, you know? I'm like, what do we do? What do white dudes hate the most? Then I realized we got to start telling little white boys that being rich is gay. That's what we got to do. I know that's not the most politically correct answer in the world, but listen to me, because y'all lose elections, okay? Look. Listen to me. If you got a young white gentleman in your life, this is your homework tonight. You got to tell him, oh, you want to hoard wealth? You want to ruin the environment? You like it in the booty, dog. That's what you got to say. That's what you got to say. A little light homophobia is going to fix the problem. Black people, back me up on this shit. Because we had a problem in our community one time. In 2006, y'all remember when niggas was sagging their pants heavy? Don't act like you don't remember that shit. You was complaining on Facebook. Black dudes was sagging their pants. And the black community hated that shit. So this is what happened. On one day, every black mom set their black son down. It all happened on one day. The people laughing right now. This is how I know who in here is black and who in here knows black people. If you're not laughing, you're probably racist. But what happened was every black mom set their black son down on one day. It happened on the same day. And they told him a story about how if in prison, that if you sag your pants and show your underwear, you letting the next dude know you ready to toot that thing up. Y'all want to know what happened the next day? Every nigga I know was dressed like Steve Urkel, dog. This shit was... Pants was tucked. Man, it was a wild time, bro. Wild time. But like I said, light homophobia. Not a lot. I don't want y'all going around here talking about, I was at the Nas After Show. He said homophobia gonna save the world. Don't go around saying that shit. One, because gay people can fight, and two, I need to keep working. Nah, bro, just a little tinge. Because I got gay homies, and I love them, bro. I love my gay homies. Can't watch basketball with them, though. You know? Like, I took the gay homie to the sports bar. We went to go watch the Lakers. LeBron dunked the ball. It was crazy. Fast break. Everybody going wild in the bar. Then LeBron flexes like so in the camera. My gay homie looks up at the TV and goes, I was like, nope, never again. You're not about to ruin the one thing me and my father still have. Fuck that. Fuck that. Because that's all me and my dad talk about. Lakers, Dodgers. That's all we talk about. That's how I know he loved me when he bring that up. Because he'll bring some shit up and it ain't even in season, you know? It's just like, oh, you just wanted to talk to me. That's cute, you know? We love Shohei Ohtani. Y'all know who Shohei Ohtani is? Yeah. You got a Yankees thing on. We kicked your ass. That was fun. We crushed y'all niggas' dreams, bro. That shit was funny, man. Shohei is so amazing. Shohei is like, he's so amazing, I'm okay with the fact that I think my father loves him more than me. I really do. He's Japanese, probably best baseball player to ever live. He's crazy, right? And like me and my dad, like the whole season we would text about the Dodgers, and every morning I would wake up to a text. It was like, hey, you see what Shohei did last night? I was like, bro, he is not our cousin, dog. Chill out. Like, what? We went to a game when he was in LA one time. Shohei hit a home run, and I'm going crazy. I'm like, yeah, we about to win. I look over, my dad on Duolingo learning Japanese and shit. I was like, nigga, what are you doing? He's like, just in case we run into him. We are not running into this man. I appreciate Shohei and the Dodgers and Lakers. I appreciate anybody that can bring me distractions of entertainment to not see this crazy world, you know? LA is tough when you don't got no money, bro. Bro, it's tough. I had to deliver food on Martin Luther King Day to the white people that had the day off. Shit was terrible, bro. Dog, this white lady ordered lunch and dessert from 2 separate places. So I had to go to 2 different places in LA traffic and deliver them to her, right? So I go get them, I take them to her place. I don't know if y'all have ever fucked up in life, but DoorDash doesn't let you know how much the person tipped you until you take a picture. You broke, okay. And you see how much they tipped you, right? That's when you see it, when you take a picture and put it on the doorstep. So I take a picture of the lunch, boom, $0 tip. On Martin Luther King Day, like that's crazy, right? And then I was like, she got me on a dessert. She doubled up, right? So I take a picture of the dessert, boom, set it down. $0 tip again. Oh. Right. Bro, I was so angry. And as a black person, this is when you calculate how long you want to be on the local news, right? But then a voice in my head was like, Niles, don't do that. You just wrote for this dope TV show. Go home. This doesn't matter, right? So I start walking down the hall. White lady opens the door, grabs her lunch and dessert. Now, I'm not going to take responsibility for the next sequence of events because I don't know what took over me. I think it was the ancestors, bro. Harriet Tubman, Frederick Douglass, O.J. Simpson, who knows, She comes out, and I said something to her. You're going to be the white lady, sir. And I was like, excuse me, ma'am. It's crazy that on a day like today, Martin Luther King Day, that you would participate in slavery. Now, I know that's a crazy thing to say to somebody you've never met before. But I ain't say that shit. OJ did. Fuck y'all, okay? She immediately drops her food on the floor and starts crying, sobbing, because she's never talked to a black person before. Sobbing to the point she can't even speak. She's just going, I, and I'm a dick, so I start going, and now all her HOA members start filing into the hallway. And they're like, Cheryl, what happened? Right? And I felt bad, right? Because our food was on the floor, splattered everywhere. White tears is in the air. This is the best Martin Luther King Day I've ever had. Amazing. Then as I was running to my car, because I knew these people was going to call the police, right? It hit me. So I realized, like, oh, this is why they don't give niggas a Malcolm X Day. I get it now. I'm not even mad. I get it. Because y'all don't really be reading. I don't think y'all understand how bad Malcolm X Day would be. Bro, I don't think y'all understand. Niggas will take that shit way too far. I know, I'm niggas. I'm taking that shit way too far. Malcolm X Day would be like the Purge. But for white feelings, dog, like I just hurt your feelings whenever I want to. It's gonna be on February 28th. Cause y'all gonna earn March, niggas. Tired of this y'all giving up on your Instagram post on February 6th. Fuck that shit, man. That's why I love Jewish people. Y'all got a holiday every week. That shit dope. 8 holidays a month. How do y'all do it? That's amazing, bro. I'm jealous. Black people, we gotta steal that shit. Black people, we need more holidays than the one we got. Cause Juneteenth don't count anymore. They already took that, right? We need that, bro. We gotta do that. Jewish people, they got holidays all the time. We need to do that too. Look, LeBron dropped 40, holiday, nigga. We gotta do that. We gotta do that. Because Malcolm X Day is never happening. It's never gonna happen. The only black person with enough power to make Malcolm X Day happen is Beyonce. That's it. It's Beyonce. Beyonce's the only one that can happen. And, if she has so much on her plate with her country music, I wouldn't want to, put another thing. She's so busy, No, it's only Beyonce. Because Beyonce, unlike any other black artist, has mastered this thing of having white people be fans of her, but also scared of her at the same time. Right? Because white people don't just say Beyonce. They say, Beyonce. Y'all are so scared of this lady. She's just a pretty lady from Texas. What is wrong with y'all? Y'all so scared of this lady. I love it. I've had a crush on Beyonce for like 20 years now. Love her. She's amazing, beautiful, successful, talented. I think it's dope that she is giving black women this dope opportunity to be fans of a bad person. I think that's so dope. Yeah, everybody pulls back on that one. She's not here, I promise you. No, everybody pulls back on that one. And understandable. Like, and when people pull back on it, it's just like, bruh, y'all was all fuck billionaires 10 minutes ago. But now they want to twerk. Oh, it's okay now. Like, the way people react to that, it just lets me know if Mark Zuckerberg ever got a BBL, y'all would be cool with that nigga stealing our info. Right? No, it's just, hey, I love Beyonce, I'm a fan, but she on that team, and you gotta be real with yourself about that shit. That lady just took y'all money during tax season. That's fucked up. This nigga's about to be homeless with a cowboy hat on in a couple months. That lady hates y'all, bro. And one of my black female friends, I ran a joke by her. She didn't like it. She's like, I love every joke you got, but that one. I was like, oh, that one? Okay. And that's cool. And I was like, well, why? Why don't you like the joke? And she's like, well, I don't like when anybody talks negatively about Beyonce. And I was like, why? I was like, because she just gives so much. She does so much. She does so much for charity. And I was like, what charity? Marrying an ugly nigga? What are we talking about? I love that joke because no matter where you stand at the beginning, we all agree with the end. I don't know. We might not put that in the special, though. Because what if I need them to, like, fund the app one day or some shit? Or, like, produce a movie? Because they don't make black movies like that no more. Y'all remember black movies? What's your favorite black movie? You can say Goofy movie or something, goddamn. That's lit. The Goofy movie is a black movie, bro. That's just the dad trying to save his son. That's every Denzel movie, nigga. Bro, we used to have black movies, bro. Black actors used to do all this cool shit, right? Now white actors do all the cool shit. They jumping off cliffs, kissing Zendaya. It's crazy. Look, I get Spider-Man pulling Zendaya, but a tennis player? Get the fuck out of here. A tennis player? No, bro. No. Fuck no. We need better. We need better black movies, man. Cause I don't know. No. But a tennis player, it's crazy. Look, I get Spider-Man pulling Zendaya, kissing Zendaya. Cool shit, right? Now white bro, we used to have black movies, bro. Black actors used to do all this cool shit, right? Now white actors do all the cool shit. They jumping off cliffs, kissing Zendaya. It's crazy. Look, I get Spider-Man pulling Zendaya, but a tennis player? Get the fuck out of here. A tennis player? No, bro. No. Fuck no. We need better. We need better black movies, man. Because I don't know other black people here if y'all feel this way, but it just seems like every time a black movie comes out, you feel like, even if it's good or it's great or it's bad, regardless, you feel like you have to support it or they're never going to give you another one ever again, right? And it sucks to feel that way. You're like, sure, Tyler Perry, take my $10, you know? It sucks. Because I remember another black writer and we were talking during the strike, right? We were on the picket lines. And we were talking about how the last strike back in 07, 08, Tyler Perry was threatening his employees that if they participated in the strike, he would fire them, which is union busting. That's illegal, that's not right, all this type of shit. This older white woman that's a writer walks by and goes, fuck Tyler Perry. I was like, hey, hold on. That sounds real close to the N-word coming out your mouth. I don't think that's right. Now I'm out here defending Tyler Perry looking crazy and shit. And that wasn't fair to me, you know? But that's just where we are right now.
So a few minutes back, Niles made a joke about where he's like, now white people, he's like, I get Spider-Man pulls Zendaya, but a tennis player, the movie that he's talking about is actually, I mean, I get it. It is a little ridiculous that they have Zendaya play that role because she's so hot. But it works within the context of the movie, and the movie was actually really good and like interesting, and that it's basically about two tennis players that are best friends, and then they like see Zendaya play, and everything changes because not only is she like so hot, but she's also so good at tennis that they're both just like captivated by her, and it essentially makes them it's this great movie just about like friendship turning into rivalry over a girl, and how it just kind of fucks them both over. And I don't know, I just have to say I do like the movie, but in the context of the joke it was funny and it makes sense. But yeah, it's definitely, I forget what it's called, but it's definitely worth a watch.
Yeah, right? Because I remember going to see Black Panther 2. I go into the theater. I sit next to this older black woman. She taps my thigh and goes, "Baby, we like this movie." I was like, this shit ain't even started yet. And I'm not going to badmouth Black Panther 2 in public. I think everybody has their own feelings about the movie. You know what I'm saying? What I'll say was, it didn't evoke the same excitement that the first one did, right? We'll say that, right? Essentially, Black Panther is Obama, Black Panther 2 is Kamala, right? Why? Did something happen? What happened? I'm serious. Black Panther 2, Black Panther 1, just like Obama, right? You see it on TV, you're like, oh shit, we don't ever get one of these. Okay. I'll put a dashiki on. I'll stand in line. I'll sneak some food in. Let's do it. Right? Then Black Panther 2, just like Kamala, you see that on the TV, you're like, oh, well, we didn't ask for this. Okay. Look, I don't like Black Panther 2 for hater reasons. So in the movie, Black Panther is dead. If you haven't seen it by now, you're racist. But anyway, Black Panther's dead. His sister takes the mantle as Black Panther, and she's the star of the movie. The actress that plays Shuri, the new Black Panther, looks way too much like one of my exes. And I hate seeing her be successful. I'm sorry. Right? And y'all might judge me and all this type of shit. You think you healed? Watch your ex take the throne in IMAX, nigga. You not. You're not, man. I'm sorry to the Kamala fans. I'm sorry. I don't think y'all like that. But I gotta say what I have to say, man. I got to, bro. Like, they taking words and making them mean shit that they not supposed to mean. Black people stole the N-word from white people 200 years ago. They were still so mad about it, they said, bet, we gonna make woke mean the N-word. Y'all seen that shit? They call you woke, they calling you a nigga. And if you're not black and they call you woke, they calling you a nigga lover. That's what they doing. They disrespecting you straight to your face, but using a word that you can use out in the open, right? I think that's fucked up, right? Because one, I don't think that's right to the nice white people in the world, right? To even put that expectation on them. You can't be woke. It's just not possible. Only black people can be woke. You just nice white people, right? You can't be woke. It's not possible. Only black people can be woke. We created that term. Only we can do it, right? There's only been one woke white person in the history of recorded history in America. His name is John Brown. Yeah? Yeah, we got some people that know John Brown in there? Okay. John Brown is the realest white dude to ever live. Mac Miller close second, okay? Bro, John Brown was amazing. I love telling the story of John Brown. John Brown lived during slavery times. He was this white dude that was so angry about slavery that he would steal guns and arm slaves, go on slave plantations, burn them down, kill all the slave owners, and free slaves. He would do this. He did this a few different times, right? He would take it so far. He would go inside these antebellum homes in the South, and he would murder the little white Confederate slave-owning children, too. He was like, I'm going to get you before you even learn to say nigga. That's what he was doing. That's woke. And you not going to do that. You're just a nice white person, and that's okay. You want to be woke? Poison your nephew, nigga. That's what you got to do. Sprinkle some shit in his Lunchable. Kill him. That's what you got to do. You want to be woke? That's what you got to do. My nigga Luigi, that's woke. That's what it is, man. I'm telling you, white people, y'all gotta be more active, bro. Y'all gotta really live what you gotta live your raps, man, cause it's some fucked up shit going on, bro. All this anti-trans bullshit going on right now, that's not right. Just hating somebody because they trans, that's stupid, right? Cause there's a group of people we should be hating that are transitioning. And that is white rappers that go to a different genre of music. Fuck them niggas, man. Why is Jack Harlow covering Elvis? You didn't master the first shit. Why is Post Malone singing with Nirvana? Right? That's crazy. Because what these white dudes are doing is they're coming into rap because it's very, very accessible. And then they're using that to pivot into something else. Because there's so many black rappers, just me being a white dude, I'll get attention. So I can turn that into something else. They don't really want to be a rapper. And what they're showing you when they do that is they don't believe in themselves. Because they couldn't really do the white boy shit, right? They was like, well, I can't be Bob Dylan, so I'll be white Lil Wayne, I guess. And they get all this attention and they pivot and they go do something else and they say something kind of racist when they do it, right? Oh, I'm not a rapper, I'm an artist, right? Right? That's what they say. And we have to stop that shit, man. So I have a new rule as a culture, this is what we're gonna do. Whenever a white rapper, if you're a white rapper, cool, do your thing. You want to pivot, switch genres, you can do that. And after you do that, you gotta die. You die. That's what it is. You get one album of the new genre and then you die. You better be good, nigga. Make it good, because you dead. And you don't get to pick how you die. We do. You want to go from rap to bluegrass? Leprosy, nigga. That's what you get. We're killing you biblically. Killing you biblically. I'm telling you, because we got to control who gets to put messages out there, man. Because they using rich people to just do hang.
I thought he was gonna say that. Transition the type of music so you go from rap to country or whatever. But then I thought he was gonna say, but then you also have to transition sex. Which, I don't know, might have been funny, might not have been. I don't know, that's just where I thought he was going with the joke. And so he's like, we kill you. And so I was like, oh, okay. Fine.
Ain't that shit. Like this J.K. Rowling stuff, bro. Like, lady, give it a rest. You made money off the most simplest idea ever. You made money off children. Like, stop. Like, no one wants to hear from you. Stop. And it's crazy that she still does this thing. It was weird. I had this weird dream about her the other day. She was in this, not like that, nigga. Not no. Get this freaky ass nigga out. No, so I had this dream that I went down into this like cellar, and like J.K. Rowling was locked in the cell, so automatically my dick was hard, right? Love seeing white people in prison. It's one of my flaws. Seinfeld finale? Oh, I'm so horny, dude. Love seeing white people locked up. Oh my God. So I see J.K. Rowling. I'm like, J.K. Rowling, why are you locked up? You white. What'd you do? You know? And she's like, I'm not locked up. They cloned me and left me down here. And my clone is out there. I don't know what's going on. I was like, oh shit. So you're not out there saying crazy shit? She's like, crazy shit? What am I saying out there? I was like, oh, dude. Your clone is out there saying all this anti-trans shit, saying they're not real women. I was fucked up. She starts crying. She's like, what? I don't hate trans people. I only hate Jews. I was like, whoa, hey. Whoa, you can't do that either. So I was never able to watch the Harry Potter movies growing up, right? Because I was raised very religious. And someone sent me a scene from one of the movies during the pandemic. And I thought it was a joke. The scene happens in a bank. There's a Star of David on the floor. And the bankers are like these elves with funny hats on and big noses. And I was just like, man, Hollywood just kept making this? And I'm watching the clip thinking it's gonna end, but it's like a full scene. Like I'm watching it like, is Kanye about to come out here with a wand? Like what's going on? Like what is going on? I don't know, bro. Like coming to Hollywood is really weird because it seems like you can break as many rules as you can pay for. right? She's a billionaire, so they let her get away with that shit, right? People bought the book so she can be as anti-Semitic, anti-trans, whatever, and they still gonna make a TV show, movie, whatever. Even though they're gonna make a post on social media later saying, we support whatever. No, you don't. And because, like, I'm from the South, bro, where people are very direct with how they feel about things and what they do. Like, these niggas made me be a preacher at 8. Like, they were like, this is what you do. You talk in microphone, do it, right? And look, and I don't like to make fun of people for whatever religion you are, but look, if you have to look to an 8-year-old for hope, you a loser, my nigga. Like, I'm speaking in the microphone, they crying, and I'm thinking about what episode of SpongeBob I'm gonna watch next. Like, I love when Patrick shit himself with that chocolate, you know what I'm saying? But it was weird, like, because being an 8-year-old preacher also taught me to, like, I know, it's wild. 8-year-old, I was an 8-year-old preacher. Like, it taught me also to, like, stand up for myself and say whatever I want, right? I remember we do this thing called outreach. I don't know if you grew up in church. It's a very godless city. Being real, if y'all believed in God, your apartments would probably get bigger. I don't know. Probably be a little happier. So we would do this thing where we would go to the park, and it was called witnessing. Basically, witnessing, it's this thing where you just make homeless people earn chicken. Yeah. Basically, they can't eat until they listen to what you have to say. It's crazy. But I was an 8-year-old, so I thought, we changing the world, you know? So we walk up to this homeless guy, and they were making them fill out a questionnaire. And they were asking them, like, where have you worshiped previously? Are you a Baptist? Are you a Lutheran? Are you Methodist, Catholic, whatever? He stops her and goes, nah, I'm more of an ass guy. I was like, what? You can say that? That's why my new comedy special is going to be called Ass Guy. I'm dedicated to that guy, man. He inspired me, bro. Never got his life together, but I'm sure, you know. I loved it, dude. Like, I don't know. My little religious upbringing is weird because, like, where I'm from, church is very much still a segregated thing. White churches do their own thing. Black churches do their own thing. And my church tried to do this thing where, you know, we did stuff with this white church, and they were really nice people, so we would do different kind of services and events together. And it's one thing this white church would do once a week was called a treasure hunt. Yeah. You're probably not going to understand this. It's very crazy. Just track with me, okay? So basically, a treasure hunt is you go to the church and you pray in the sanctuary for clues to find God's treasure, which are people who are just minding their own business on a Tuesday night. So all these people come together, they pray, which is essentially just talking to yourself, nigga. And the pastor stops the music. He goes, all right, everybody come together. What are the clues? Who are we going to find tonight? And of course, everybody defers to the old black lady that's there because, you know, that's the LeBron of prayer, you know. And he's like, okay, what are we looking for? She's like, all right, he's got a red shirt on. So, all right, cool. We got the description, right? Then next, he's like, okay, well, where are we going to find this man in the red shirt? She goes, Walmart. I'm like, okay. And he's like, well, this is the tricky part. He's like, so what are we praying for this person? And she's like, he or someone in his family has cancer. Said it super confident. So everybody's like, all right, let's do it. So I'm 13. I'm getting in a van with these white people and this old black lady, and we're going to Walmart to find a nigga in a red shirt that might have cancer. So we walking around Walmart. Within 2 minutes, we see this huge guy in a red shirt. Everybody gets excited. And so the older black lady starts walking over, and the pastor was like, hey, oh, what you doing? She's like, well, I came up with everything, so I want to go talk to him. He's like, first off, look, old bitch. I'm the pastor. I'm more personable. You can't just go to somebody and just bring up cancer. You can't do that, right? So let me go talk to him. She's angry. He leaves, right? So he goes to the guy in the red shirt, walks up. He's like, hey, I'm Pastor so-and-so. I'm from so-and-so church. We're looking for God's treasure tonight. We were praying, and God's treasure has on a red shirt. And, sir, you have on a red shirt. Can I pray for you? And the guy just goes, no. Because that's weird. Like, you can't just walk up to somebody in a grocery store and say that, right? So then the pastor starts playing dirty. He goes, all right, no disrespect, but when we were praying, we heard that you or someone in your family might have cancer. I just heard that right now from God. And the dude immediately starts tearing up, crying. He's a big guy, too. He goes, actually, I'm here grocery shopping, buying all this food because my whole family is at my house. We're here because my mom has been in chemotherapy and it's not going well. And it's the toughest thing me and my family has ever gone through. Now imagine, Tuesday night, 8 o'clock, you tell a random stranger the biggest thing your family has ever gone through. And then 2 aisles over, you just hear an old black lady go, yes, let's go, I was right! Jesus, nigga, let's go! I dapped her up. It was fun. Hell yeah. Dog, like people would be like, nigga, why you crazy? I'm like, you should meet the people that raised me. Just stupid shit like that. Like, cause like where I'm from, like they don't allow people to just be themselves. Like, I have a friend who's very much a lesbian.
See, and that's why I like Niles. He's not religious anymore. He grew up in this religious community. But I like that joke too, because there are plenty of people that would hear that joke and go, oh my God, that is proof. Or they would hear not even that joke, but that story, and they would go, that is proof of God's love and God's existence, that man was going through a hard time and he needed prayer and yada and community, and that this community that he wasn't even a part of went out and found him. And so with the right perspective you can see that and go, that's 1,000% affirming that God exists and that God is looking out for people and all that stuff. But then with the different perspective, you can have like Niles' point of view, which is that, and then the next aisle over, you hear the lady go, fuck yes, I was right. I told you I was right, blah, blah, blah. And it's just funny because it's, not only is it a funny moment where you're like, God, that poor guy, like, has this lady cheering, stoked that his mom has cancer, but then also it's funny to think about that, with the right type of point of view, you can have some people going, oh, that's so beautiful, that's God love, and taking it totally seriously. And then with another point of view, you can see the absurdity of it. And me, I'm spiritual, I'm religious, whatever, I believe in God. But I also am like, I can see that the absurdity of it and the whole idea that, you can just walk around any place, and if you ask enough people, oh, can we pray for you? Oh, we heard someone in your family or you or someone has cancer. You could probably find someone in most places where they would go, oh, yeah, yeah, my dog does have cancer, or, whatever it may be. And I can see the kind of the gimmick of it, or the hustle of it, you know what I mean? How it is kind of a scam in a way. But I can also see how, like, well, if it helped that guy in the red shirt, if he genuinely felt uplifted by it, then, maybe that is God just working through his people. And it's just up to whoever the person is, that to me is like what the biggest thing about religion that people don't understand is, like, you can get out of it whatever you want to. You can read the Bible and go, oh, I have every excuse to be the most hateful, you could even use it as an excuse to be a murderous, like, horrible person. Or you can read the Bible and say, I should be accepting and loving, and Jesus loved everyone, and yada, yada. all that all that like religion and stuff like that is just a matter of your own perspective and what you want out of life or what you don't want, even, right? And I like jokes about religion like that because it's not just being like, aren't people so stupid for believing in God? Blah, 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 And Niles might be someone who doesn't believe in God, but at the same time, he's pointing out the absurdity of the difference of perspective, right? It's not so much that these people are so dumb for going to look for a man in a red shirt. It's more of that. While you got the guy in the red shirt and Niles is the little kid, you've also got the woman in the next aisle over who's just so stoked that she was right about someone in this dude's family having cancer, and she, because of that, felt like God spoke to her. And now she's probably like, I'm special, God speaks to me, and all this shit. And it's just, that to me is just what makes that in particular a really good funny joke right there, is that it's like, it shows that one aisle over there's gonna be somebody who is like, oh yeah, I nailed that shit, like it was the Daily Double on Jeopardy or something. When that's someone's life, and and it points out the absurdity of like being like, can we pray for you? I always think that's so funny because it's like the least you can do for somebody with any situation or anything hard going is to pray for them. One thing like my grandma or my mom taught me that I think rings true, it's like, if you want to do a step above that, one of the best things you can do for anyone going through a hard time is to do their dishes. Whether they're entertaining family member, if you go over to somebody's house, especially someone that is going through a hard time, that is one of the kindest things you could do for somebody, is just to do a little bit of their housework, whether it's the dishes, the laundry, the whatever, just to help them out. And that is being of service, and that is, beautiful too. So I don't know. I kind of got sidetracked there.
From as long as I could remember, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was a girl like at church where they would make her wear a dress and she would just be in service doing like this type of shit. It's like, let the girl wear khakis, man. You know what I'm saying? And black people, they be like, oh, she not gay. She just confused, right? She confused. I'm like, she's not confused. She's gay. This girl has a hell of a jump shot. Like, come on. She lead the league in points, rebounds, steals, blocks. She pussy. Like, come on. And it got to the point where they were just like, they had to just let it happen, right? And it's funny, I always see shit like that in the South. And I don't say that to say like being gay means you're good at basketball. Like, we've all been to Williamsburg, like that shit. Shit does not correlate. I'm just saying it's a better chance, right? Because obviously Caitlin Clark has put that to rest, right? I hate Caitlin Clark so much. As a black dude, it really hurts me. I'm not gonna lie. Like, Caitlin Clark is like the 8 Mile movie for me. Black folks, doesn't it suck how inspiring the movie 8 Mile is? He's just watching this white man get his ass whooped by black people and he succeed, and you cheering for the nigga too, I hate that shit. I be cheering for Caitlin Clark, man. She be getting thrown on the floor. She get back up, hit a 3. And I'm like, no straight white woman should ever have that much swag. No. This is abomination unto Christ, man. This is not good. I hate how good Caitlin Clark is. Black women can't have shit, man. She just came out of nowhere. Like, you from Iowa. Y'all don't even supposed to do this. It sucks. Like, I don't know. I don't think we really understand the cultural implications of Caitlin Clark's success. Things could get really bad, guys. Like, think about it. If Caitlin Clark continues to succeed, that means we're going to have the first white female rapper we have to respect. I don't want that. Think about it. Okay, I'm going to take y'all back because I don't think y'all are really getting this. I'm going to take y'all back. Back in the 80s, there was this white man named Larry Bird. Played for the Boston Celtics. Probably the greatest white basketball player of all time. This dude was so good. He would score and then yell at the other bench and tell the coach, "Don't you ever put another white man on me ever again." Larry Bird felt disrespected when another white man would guard him. This dude was so cocky and so good at basketball. He walked into the locker room and during the three-point contest, told a locker room full of black men, "Which one of you bitches getting second?" That's crazy. That's crazy. No white man should ever have that much confidence. But that was Larry Bird. He was amazing. He fucked niggas up on the court for 2 decades. Now, during that time, in the 80s, in a trailer park in Detroit, there was a middle schooler named Marshall Mathers that may or may not have seen Larry Bird fuck Magic Johnson up live on ABC. If you think one of them Larry Bird performances didn't inspire the term "mom spaghetti," nigga, you're sadly mistaken. So we have to stop Caitlin Clark. We have to, because if we don't stop Caitlin Clark, 3 years from now, you're going to see Pharrell get on stage at the Grammys and go, "Will the real Slim Katie please stand up?" I really don't want that to happen. It keeps me up at night. Because I really don't know what else to do. Like, we used to not have these problems, bro, because we used to have real black leaders, man. That's what stopped this shit. We used to have real black leaders. Martin Luther King, Fannie Lou Hamer, Malcolm X, Medgar Evers, right? We used to have real black leaders. Now white people pick our black leaders for us, right? Now black people's like, "Oh, we need a leader." White people be like, "Charlemagne the God." What? A grown-ass nigga with a nickname? No. Hell no. God, kill myself before I march behind Charlemagne the God. Get the fuck out of here, bro. Black people, I think we alone, man. We don't have no Martin Luther King or Malcolm X no more, bro. Them niggas, there's no more niggas like that. We the worst niggas of all time. Bro, it's internet porn, honey packs, parlays. We never gonna get a Martin Luther King ever again. I'm for real. I'm a good person, but I'm a terrible nigga. I'm a terrible nigga.
All right, I'm not gonna watch the whole stand-up special because I do want people to watch it on Niles' YouTube channel. But shout out to Niles. He's a great comedian. He's got multiple stand-up specials on YouTube. So if you like his comedy, he's got Girls Don't Twerk to Jokes, Household Name, I believe, is another one. Yeah, they're not. He's got 98 Honda, a short film. He's got a lot of stuff that really makes it him worth checking out. And I think the thing, before I go, the thing that I just want to say, whether it's watching stand-up comedy or reading these short stories or whatever it is that I'm doing, is there's a lot of people doing a lot of cool creative shit. I think we just gotta do a better job of letting that shit rise to the surface. You know, algorithms probably fuck it all up, but yeah, I want to see more stuff like a Niles Abston special, or Picayune Strand stories. That's what I want to see on the front page of, whatever it is, the Creepcast subreddit, or I want to see that be the top post that's got the most likes or the most likes on Twitter or shit like that. It's It's so annoying just going online and seeing all the people fighting about shit or just nothing interesting's going on. This war, that bullshit. All that stuff's important, don't get me wrong, but I would like to hear and see some more of the cool stories and shit that are out there. So that's what I'm gonna do on my stream. If you're watching this, thank you for watching the Red Death Mass stream, and thank you for stopping by. You have a story or a video or anything you think that I should check out, DM me, on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube or wherever. Thanks for seeing my first stream. I'm gonna go because now I am tired. Goodbye. Peter saying.